Hello and welcome back to the American Sushi podcast. I am your host, Too Spooky, otherwise known as Brandon. With me is my co-host, Evan.
Hello.
And today we also have a very special guest once again. Today we have Jordan from the YouTube channel, The Anime Dude. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my man.
Yellow, Jordan here from the YouTube channel, The Anime Dude. I don't know if that flowed very well or not, but hi, how's it going?
No, that was great.
Beautiful.
Welcome and thanks for being here, Jordan. I've been really excited to have you and talk to you on here.
Right, it's nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, Jordan. It's been a...
Nice to meet you, Brandon. Nice to meet you, Evan.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, what you do on this beautiful platform over here.
On the YouTubes, I sometimes make some videos about those the Chinese cartoons. I think some people call them animes. I like those things a lot. I've liked them since I was younger. So, yeah, I just make videos talking about them. You know, nothing too fancy. Just doing me.
Yeah, and I see you like to play some video games on Twitch.tv from time to time.
Oh yes, sir. Apex boys.
Apex boys.
No, I'm definitely not much of a gamer as far as I'm not very good or anything like that, but it is fun to play with the boys every now and then, and I've been trying to put in a bunch of hours to Twitch to do that and get to chill there a little bit. It's a good way to spend the downtime.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, especially seeing as we're on Twitch right now.
Yeah, or if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify, coming soon. Hell yeah.
Oh, coming soon.
Yep, and if you are watching this on YouTube, then remember to go follow twitch.tv/American_Sushi. That way you can catch them live the next time around.
Oh,
man, we should have had you on
Make
a long
plugs.
time ago.
Yeah,
if
we
you're
should
gonna
have
plug us
had
like that.
everyone. So, I guess since this is our first time, officially meeting Jordan, I've got quite a few questions here. I've been exploring your videography, and I've really enjoyed specifically, I've enjoyed all of your videos that I've watched, but the character analysis videos have been some of my favorites of yours. And so I was wondering if you could kind of walk me through the process of how you come about with those ideas and how you sort of craft your arguments about the characters.
Gotcha. So, it's been a few years since I first started making those videos, and I haven't really made very many here recently just because so much goes into each one. But whenever I first started making the character analysis videos on a silent voice, I'd literally I watched the movie, and the movie cut a lot of corners based on the fact that, the manga was a lot longer. And I didn't really know all the details to that, but I just knew, I was like, there has to be more to some of these characters, because, the movie overall, 10 out of 10, very good, but then there's some characters, we barely get to know, but they seem like they should be important. So I went ahead and, one of my next things I did was I read through the manga, and there was a few characters in particular, Ueno especially, and stuff that, kind of caught my eye, but if you tried to search them up, there was just no videos on them out there. Nobody really talked about any of them. The only thing I ever really heard about them on, forums and stuff was people bad-mouthing them, because, on surface level, they're very unlikable. They're just very polarizing characters in general. So I was like, you know what? Why not try to put out my thoughts on, understanding these characters, why they do what they do, who they are, and I basically took I went through the manga, and I basically took screenshots of every single panel that the characters were on, and I sat there and as I scripted the analysis videos, and I don't know, it was a very long process, but I felt like it was very fulfilling whenever everything finally came together, because there was a lot of characters and stuff where I had to sit there and read through the panels with them on it quite a few times before it kind of clicked, and you're like, oh, now I get why they did that, because it's they're just kind of a little hard to understand,
Yeah, and I think especially in those silent voice videos, I think it really comes across the amount of effort you put into them, because it's a very unique perspective that like you said, there's not videos out there on them, and I would have never thought about those characters in that way except coming across your videos.
Yeah, and as far as making a lot of them goes, there was only one or two I think I was initially going to do, but it was upon rereading and analyzing the story, I not only realized that Silent Voice in particular does a very good job of giving each character their own arc. They give each character the own like different lessons that you can learn through those characters. Not only are they not explored very much in the movie, but the first Silent Voice video I did on Ueno did very well in views. So I was like, man, there's so much more here that could be analyzed. So I just figured, why not, go through and try to do that for other characters as well. And it worked out. Those are still some of my most popular videos, I guess. So.
I think that a very like standout thing you said as well is the fact that it's one of those things that you wanted to look up, but there was just nothing about it, right? And I feel like for a lot of YouTubers that end up like hitting a stride or finding like an idea that's really going to work, it usually comes from like a topic that you want to see or like a type of video you want to see, but nobody else is doing it. So then you have to go out of your way to do it yourself. And usually that's how like, you strike gold per se with the YouTube algorithm.
No doubt. That was definitely the first bit of success I had on YouTube. And I think I think you just kind of nailed the reason why and stuff is supply and demand. And there was no supply. But like I was one of the people that was kind of wanting to see that. So apparently there were other people that had the same mindset.
And then throughout all of your videos, you talk a lot about characters, and that being sort of your biggest draw to the anime or manga that you like.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of become a little bit of a meme on your channel. I remember one video I watched, you're like, oh, Jordan's talking about characters again. But I think that that's such a good perspective because there's a lot of people, especially like English teachers, English professors who are like, well, if there's pictures, it's a comic book, graphic novel, whatever. It's not as literary as Shakespeare or To Kill a Mockingbird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so I think your videos really capture that there can be a lot of literary value to anime and manga.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess sort of the broader question is what made you decide to approach... You talked specifically about a silent voice, but what made you approach like character analysis in manga and anime in this way?
I guess it's one of those things where any show you watch or any manga you read and stuff, a big component of how much you enjoy it is how much you understand the characters. I see so many people that like say they didn't like show X because they didn't understand why the main character went and did this or that. But like me personally, I've always been one of those people. I love psychology and stuff. I love trying to put myself in other people's shoes and try to understand them. So whenever I see somebody whose actions seem so not just polarizing and stuff, but like they seem to kind of contradict each other and stuff, like there's a part of me that really wants to understand why. And whenever they're well written, like they were in A Silent Voice, going through and analyzing that, you kind of get to see, as far as the differences between literary mediums, manga in particular has so many subtle details that people kind of miss or gloss over, and just the little minute things that the characters do, their expressions, there's just so much there that's not just spelled out for you in words, and it can be easy to miss that. But I don't know, it's just very interesting to me going and trying to understand these characters and the journeys they go on. So.
Yeah, and I see in the Twitch chat, Madix says teachers can also be weebs, and so like that's a very similar background to where I am. I'm not an English teacher, but I have a very similar background to that, and so I know that teachers can be weebs too, but I would say for the most part, at a broader spectrum, anime and manga is looked down upon as a form of literature, and I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that.
Oh,
I think
for sure.
It's open to debate, but...
I'd probably agree with that. I don't know. I had the same English teacher for like 5 years straight. She was a very smart lady and stuff, but like you could tell that even though as smart as she was, and as like I still talk to her on occasion to this day, like she's a very great lady. But like as smart as she was, she still like had her biases. Like she just hated Harry Potter to the core and things like that. So like, so I don't know. Like maybe she would appreciate manga and stuff, but like it never really came up. But you would assume that most literary teachers probably have their biases towards that type of literature because it's kind of foreign to them. So not everybody's open-minded about things that they don't really understand or haven't really experienced.
Yeah, and I would say as anime and manga are getting more mainstream, so to speak, I think that there will be sort of a transition in the literature sphere to acknowledging some of the deeper meanings, the allegories and metaphors and stuff within it. And
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm trying to be an optimist here.
Cause, I mean, I enjoy reading books that aren't manga and whatnot as well and stuff, but I feel like the people that don't have or haven't experienced a lot of Eastern media like manga, like they missed out on stories like Berserk and things like that, where there's I think they're some of the best well-written stories I've ever experienced in any medium. So I mean,
That's
it's just...
when I was talking about that of like deeper meanings and allegories. Berserk was exactly what I was thinking of too, Jordan. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, I'm definitely no literary expert, but I've always been of the belief that any type of reading is better than just not reading at all. Like, if a child would only find enjoyment out of things like, manga and comics, I feel like that is so much more valuable than just, being like, oh, that's not worth your time. You can't read that. You're not going to get anything out of it. Whereas, like, if they're not interested in just regular books, it's better than nothing at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And it's still, like, super important.
It's kind of heartbreaking stuff, how many people you hear of that never really got into reading or anything like that, just based on the fact that they were forced to read things that they didn't enjoy. Like, they would literally rather just sit there and do nothing than try to read a book that they were being forced to read. Like, I don't know. I feel like the way that we go about teaching literature and stuff is kind of a shame in that regard. But
yeah, I think that's a very poignant point. Because if you're forced into doing something that you don't enjoy, like, you're not gonna develop an enjoyment for it by repeating it over and over. For the most part.
Yeah.
Right.
Way less.
I mean, I think there are instances like with working out, like not everyone enjoys that right away, especially if they're losing weight, but that can become a habit and enjoyment. But I don't know. I feel like for the most part, it's a discouraging thing to be forced to read something that you don't enjoy instead of something you might enjoy or enjoy more, just because it's deemed lower.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, like, I understand why there might be like a little bit of a negative connotation in certain regards with like various light novels and whatnot, because while you do have those works like Berserk or whatever that take allusions and inspiration from outside areas, I guess you could say, like Miyazaki and stuff gets a lot of inspiration from outside of anime and manga. You do see a lot of the, I guess you could say, like a cash grab type of thing, or like a uninspired, like there's a lot of light novels and manga that literally only inspired by other light novels and manga, and it just becomes repetitive to a certain degree. I think you see that a lot with like isekais and stuff. So like, I could see how people would see that and it give like a little bit of a negative connotation to that medium. But I mean, there's still value there, I think. I don't know, like I said, it's all about what you enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think anyone should be torn down for what they enjoy.
Facts.
So I guess I heard you say in there that you do like reading occasional books outside of manga. What would you say was you can either tell me the most recent book you've read or your favorite book you've read, or both?
Oh man, it's probably been a little while. I really love these books called Pendragon. I used to read when I was younger. Man, the freaking all the adventures of Bobby Pendragon. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason I just loved reading those as a kid. I say as a kid. I was in like middle school, high school, but I don't know. Those probably stick out to me. But I haven't really, I guess, read that much here in recent years, these last couple. But those would probably be my favorites if I had to name some. Harry Potter was cool too.
Okay, yeah. Good. So, transitioning to the opposite end of the spectrum, I want to hear a little bit about your sports background.
Ooh.
Because I noticed in a couple of your videos you're wearing some Oklahoma City Thunder gear. So I take it you're a fan of them, huh?
Oh, yeah, big fan. I love the OKC Thunder. Thunder up.
Is that their slogan, Thunder Up?
Thunder up.
Oh, that's awesome. So how
man.
did you become a basketball fan?
Well, I guess I didn't really choose to start playing it until I was around middle school age. But my dad coached basketball my entire life, so I was always around it.
Okay.
So then whenever I finally like moved in with him and stuff, I decided like, hey, it finally like seemed like something that had my interest a little bit. So yeah, I started playing it and I just kind of fell in love with the game. So I don't know, it was like my first love, and I knew I wasn't the most athletic dude in the world, so I figured if I was going to do something, I was going to dedicate myself to it. So I didn't really play very many other sports, but
okay.
I just, yeah, from like middle school to the end of high school, I dedicated myself pretty much to basketball, and I don't know, I felt like it taught me a lot of good life lessons.
Yeah, I think that absolutely makes sense with regards to sports. A lot of teamwork and stuff like that. And I guess to wrap this in so people outside of me and you are interested, what would you say are some of the best sports anime or manga that you've watched/read?
Oh, I'm hearing majors coming in here.
Oh, no doubt. Like, I definitely have a definitive top 4.
Okay.
I'd probably put Slam Dunk at my number 4, which is a little bit weird considering basketball is my favorite sport. But like, Maybe I'm just pickier with basketball, anime, or manga. I don't know. But that's my number 4. And then after that, I'd probably go Haikyuu at 3, Major at number 2, and Hajime no Ippo at number 1. After that, like after number 4, it's a little bit shaky for me though. Like I don't know. There's so many good ones, but not really any that like stick out above the rest. If that makes sense. Maybe Cross Game number 5. That's a good one. I've definitely read and watched a lot of sports anime and manga though. They're definitely inherently compelling in my opinion. Like love real sports. Since I love character growth, I'm probably just kind of rambling on a little bit right here, but since I love character growth, I definitely feel like sports in general are something that help to explore that in just a very natural way. Like the characters try to go about improving and maturing throughout the course of learning a sport, and you see that in a lot of my favorites. It's not really so much about the sport as it is about the journey of the characters and the growth that they undergo throughout it. So.
Yeah, and I think sports lends itself really well to like highs and lows, right? Wins and losses.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And I guess a follow-up is, how do you think sports anime and manga represent sports well, and what are some things you think they could improve upon?
It's a little bit hard because like I know that there's going to be differences depending on the anime or manga.
The anime and the sport too,
like,
right?
Yeah. Like an example, Kuroko no Basket is one, since I'm so close to basketball and stuff, like I criticize it a lot, but it does really good of kind of just completely disregarding the sport itself and it just becoming basically like a shonen manga with superpowered high schoolers doing superpowered things through what seems to be basketball. Like, and it's very exciting for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that might grow an interest in basketball without ever actually watching it based on that. So I mean those can be cool. And then I don't know, you wanna kind of reword the question? Like that was the first thing that came to mind. But.
Yeah, no, okay. No, but I think that was a good answer, is the sort of character analysis. And I guess I'm trying to figure out how to word this appropriately, but like what is the fine line you could say for sports fans to find an interest in a sports anime, and potentially sports anime fans finding an interest in the real sport?
I guess it's not even so much about the sport itself.
Yeah.
Like I hate cross country, right? Like okay. I tried to run it. I sucked at it. I got like an 18th place medal. I've never got an 18th place medal.
You got a medal for that?
18th place, dude.
That's
I've never gotten a medal for that. Yeah. First meet, only meet. But then there was a recent anime about cross country called Run with the Wind, and it's definitely one of the better sports anime I've ever seen. And it's one of those things where it's not so much about whatever sport they're running or playing. It's not so much about any of that. It's just a lot of the times you take a kid that hasn't really matured, doesn't really know who they are yet, and they learn a lot of lessons and stuff through those sports. Like in Major, the main character starts out at the age of 4, and we get to see him go on through his entire life. And in Ippo, you get to see this kid that was bullied in his teenage years, very timid, and he gets to have that like self-confidence and stuff through learning how to box. He gets discipline. He wants to learn what it's like to be strong. And there's just these journeys of the characters that you get to see them mature over the course of the series while pursuing whatever said sport that they're trying to do. So it's not even so much about the sports themselves. Mm-hmm. I think it helps to bring in a lot of new sports fans whenever somebody experiences those sports. Like if someone watches Ippo, then they feel like they get that interest in boxing. They want to go learn how to box. Or if someone reads Slam Dunk, then suddenly they might have that interest in basketball and they want to go learn how to shoot some hoops. So there's a lot. You hear a lot of stories of people.
Yeah, no, that was a great answer. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think it goes the other way too. You know, I think you can get sports fans interested in anime and manga.
Oh, no doubt.
Sports anime and manga.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like I said, they're inherently compelling, and I think a lot of people that already watch sports like might understand that on some level. But then it's like, I don't know, you might enjoy watching Michael Jordan play basketball on TV, but then you also find interest in like a documentary about him, like the one that just recently came out.
Yep.
You get to see behind the scenes, and anime kind of has both. It has those exciting sports moments, and you get the story behind it. There's just a lot to offer there, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I could absolutely talk sports with you all day. I was about to go off on a tangent about Michael Jordan documentary, but I think since Brandon's the co-host here, I should probably involve him in a question. I want to talk, how did you two meet for the first time? Do either of you remember that story?
I know Jordan knows it pretty well because he's told it before, so I'll let him take the floor with this one, and I'll chime in when necessary.
Wait, what?
How you met your boy.
How did you meet Brandon?
Okay, so I was on Tinder, right?
Ooh.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where I first, I didn't really have many friends that liked anime or manga in real life. Like, I was definitely a closet weeb in my younger years. So, yeah, I flocked to Twitter. I became the anime dude. And, like, there I got to know Briggs. And Briggs, like, that was just kind of pure coincidence. We both loved Kenichi. And then Briggs introduced me to Spooks. And we all just kind of, like, naturally became friends as they both taught me about the whole YouTube thing and stuff as I was wanting to learn it. So,
Indeed.
I feel like it was a pretty natural thing. Is there any, like, specific details I'm leaving out, Spooks? I'm trying to remember, like, the specifics of it. It's been so many years now. I'm trying to...
I think that basically sums it up. I forget why we initially made a group chat together. I can't remember if we were doing some sort of, like, collaboration or what was happening, but it started with a group chat, which is where we got introduced. I remember watching a lot of your earlier videos and obviously, seeing a lot of potential.
Being very shameful thinking back on those.
But it's one of those things where we just naturally, like, started talking more. The three of us, like, would always, like, chat around in that group chat, like, all the time for a while. We'd all, like, give each other advice, help each other out with thumbnails, all that jazz. And
pretty much.
Yeah, I would say you were probably, because Briggs is my first YouTube friend, so I would probably make you my second, unless I'm forgetting somebody. But yeah, like it's been a long time now, for sure.
Basically same. Like said, for some reason, like Briggs, like he didn't even have 1,000 subscribers yet, but I remember seeing his video on how to become a Super Saiyan or something like that. Like there was like one of his very first videos. I was like, I kind of want to do that. So then I started trying to make YouTube videos. They were very cringy, but then like I don't know, he ended up introducing me to you somehow and stuff. But like I started watching your videos. I was like, oh my god, these are very cool. And then like I just started asking advice on different aspects. I'm like, how do you do this or this? And Spooks here just being a genuine nice guy, shooting out advice left and right. Where I'm like, man, that's genius.
I mean, I like to help whenever I can because I know, like, obviously my pals will help me right back whenever that time comes. I want to say that I met Briggs around the time I was just about to hit 10,000. So I probably met you, I think, later that year. Because it was something 2016. Like I know that much.
Yeah. It was... Man, that's like 4 years ago. Jesus.
Right.
I did just remember, like, for the longest time, I felt like it was just me asking Spooks for help all the time. Not like help, but like, just like, hey, what do you think of this thumbnail? Like, hey... Like, I just respected his opinion so much. I always asked for different opinions. Yeah. And then finally, like, one day, I think he was, like, trying to reword a script that was... I think it had to do with, like, Toby/Obito. And something to do with that, where you were having to, like, re-elaborate on... You were having to, like, re-elaborate because there were so many misunderstandings in the comment of the first video.
Yeah,
so, you were like, you guys... I'll pay you to read this over this script. I was just so happy you actually asked for help back. Like, I was like, man, this is my chance to... just pay you back for all the help that you've given me. I'm like, like for payment or whatever, like literally just send it over whenever I'll help however I can. And
I'm glad I had you look that over because the second part definitely like had a better response than the first part just because I left out the most crucial information the first time around, which like really backfired. I was big mad, low key, but I was mainly just mad at myself because I wasn't able to like illustrate exactly what I was talking about, and I made like a crucial mistake in leaving out the actual evidence I had for said statement. But like, I completely forgot that was. I forgot I asked you guys to look at that.
Yeah, I just remember, I'd already like watched a few of your videos. Like, man, these are so cool, they're so well done. Like, so I already like appreciated that. But then actually just like having you ask to look over that script before it actually became a video, and then just seeing the end product afterwards, I was like, man, that's so cool. I feel like that definitely like dragged me a little bit deeper into the whole YouTube thing, trying to make my scripts better, trying to go that extra mile to make the stuff better.
Well, I would say like in terms of that, I would say you already do like a really good job, just in terms of like what we were talking about earlier with like your analysis videos, right? I know for myself, like I do really appreciate like characterization within manga, but I felt like I myself, if I were ever to try to like actually make a video on a character analysis, I would have such a like a hard time actually like writing it out. I feel like that's one aspect of writing that I really struggle at, is trying to explain like, why do I like this character, or why does this character do what they do? It's just not something that I'm like super good at. So seeing that you're like, I'm not going to say a master, but you are a master at it compared to myself. Like,
I'll second that.
Compared to me, like I am so terrible at it that it's like one of those things where like, damn, this man he's got a real talent for it.
I guess one thing I didn't really mention earlier is I didn't like watch a ton of anime YouTube at the time, but there was one guy I watched named AJ or Alexander XR. I don't know really know what you.
I don't know how to pronounce it either,
but he did a lot of that was his early days where he had just made a few Berserk videos, analyzing Guts and Griffith and characters like that. So like I had like literally just recently seen those, and like I wasn't copying, but like at the same time I was like, man, I want to be able to do something kind of like that. Whenever like right before I started making those character analysis videos, I didn't really understand Ueno, so that's whenever I kind of took that dial. I was like, I'm gonna see if I can make something sort of like that, and then it eventually kind of evolved into my own style of it.
Yeah, I feel like with YouTube too, that's usually how a lot of YouTubers like end up striking gold once again, because they find inspiration from something, but they have a way to do it differently or add like their own take. Like it's not just a straight up copy. It's just like you're taking what you like about it and transitioning that into your own content, but while also adding your own pizzazz to it that makes it stand out. But that leads me to a different question, if you don't mind. But back then, I would say that you were also like one of the earliest channels I can think of who were doing like character analysis content, and then it just kind of blew up into this huge oversaturated genre. Whereas like a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, a lot of other anime YouTubers are also doing character analysis like within the last year and a half, 2 years. How do you feel about? Do you feel like it's oversaturated? Do you feel like you were ahead of the fray?
I don't know, because like when I think back to like when I was first doing it, the only example of people like I had watched that had done it was Alexander. Like I feel like he might not have even been the only one doing it, but he was probably one of the people that did it the best, that like stuck out to me.
That's true.
Or maybe he just covered the series that I watched. So I remember like watching him do it, and like to this day, sure, there's a lot of people that have done it, but I feel like every character is going to affect different people in different ways. They're going to have their own takes on it. So whenever you have something so subjective like that, I don't know. I find it very interesting to see what different people have to say about certain characters. So it's not even necessarily like you could say it's oversaturated, but it's kind of like you being ahead of the curve on fact videos, right? So like fact videos are definitely something that can be probably oversaturated to a point. Like there's no real point in copying people on like fact videos and stuff, because the facts are the facts.
Yeah, it just comes to a bunch of the same information. The more people do it.
Yeah, but like on character analysis videos and stuff, like I definitely find them very challenging at times, because I'm like, I don't want to say like I'm a perfectionist, but like I'm very strict with myself on what I actually put out with character analysis videos now. Like I don't want to throw something out there and just be like off, like have like facts wrong and details wrong and stuff. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it is interesting to see what other people have to say about certain characters, but you definitely do see it a lot more now than whenever I started, now that I think about it. So
yeah, and I think bouncing off your point, it's a lot easier to craft an original take about a character than it is to come up with 100 facts about that character, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Inevitably, with facts, there's going to be some overlap, but with characters, a lot of them are so open-ended and open to interpretation.
Well, it's one of those things where like I'll give you an example. Like I made a character analysis video on Bond from the 7 Deadly Sins, right? I love Bond's character, so I actually took a lot of pride in that video, especially when I first made it. And then Nux went and made a video analyzing Bond. And like, yeah, we both analyzed the same character, but if you watch both of those videos, the videos are so different, and it's because like the aspects of the character hit us both in different ways based on our personal experiences. So like, like they're two very different videos, even though they're analyzing the same character. So I don't know if it's necessarily oversaturated just yet. Like character analysis isn't something where I would let the fact that there's already an analysis of a character out there dissuade me from making a video on it. Even though, like Spook said, you should probably aim for what like isn't out there yet. But
yeah, and I think I'm just curious, if you were to have an idea of a character to do an analysis video on, would you would you watch someone else's video, or would you want to craft it all on your own first?
I want to craft it all on my own.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sucks because there's actually a few videos out there where I haven't watched videos I really want to watch because I don't want that, like their opinions on the character to affect mine. As much as I love AJ or Alexander, he has a video on Killua, and I remember like I haven't watched it yet because whenever he first put that out, like I was literally trying to write an analysis on Killua, and like I never actually ended up making it, but I still might someday. It's like Hiding in Public made one on Shukishima that I still haven't watched because I'm sure it's very good. I let it play through because I love Hiding, but Yeah, it's one of those where I literally have like a full like 8-page analysis of Tsukishima written that I'm gonna try to make soon. So like
that's
I don't
awesome.
want, yeah, but like I want it to be like my thoughts on him.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like in any way persuaded or affected by other people's interpretations of him or analysis of him, because that kind of destroys the analysis part. You know, like maybe it doesn't completely. It's definitely interesting to hear other people's thoughts, but if you're gonna analyze a character, you know, you want it to be your thoughts on that character and your like original analysis of it. So maybe that's a personal thing, but
no, I feel that to an extent, just with like obviously different type of content. Like usually for like, let's say I'm gonna do a facts video or explain something, and if I were to search it up and see somebody else already did it, usually I would make my own like script first, and then I would go watch it afterwards to see, you know, how much of it is actually the same, or like if there's anything I forgot, or if there's anything like that. That way, like, I can take what I already had and either improve upon it even further, or just like be like, okay, you know, this is different enough, good for me.
I think that's a good way to do it, or a good way to go about it and stuff. Because I don't know, like there's times where I probably was planning on kind of doing something about a character, and then I watched a video that somebody else did about that character. And I'm not going to say like it killed my motivation, but like it's just one of those things where I'm like, all right, well, they were so convincing or whatever that now I kind of think in a very similar sense or whatever, whereas it's not like something I crafted on my own. And then I'm like, I don't really have that same motivation to go and make that analysis video. Because then I'm like, then I'm rehashing this, and this. But I don't know. Yeah, I try to avoid it if it's a character I have an interest in making a script on myself.
Yeah, I think that's a really poetic way to word that. I think you worded that very well. But I saw from Metal Mama in the chat mentioned your hit AMV videos. I guess that's videos twice, Jordan, but your AMVs from your early days, and I watched one of those. I think it was something about on a beach somewhere.
Oh man, I had just downloaded like a new like free software that I wasn't really sure how to use yet. So, like I heard that song like as I was trying to like messing around with that software, and I was like, you know what? Every anime has like a beach episode, so it shouldn't be that hard to find scenes if I just download all the beach episodes. And then I just played around with it, and like that was like 8 hours of playing around, ended up in that that video.
Oh, that's awesome!
Like, I still don't think it's that good, but it's a good song. So,
I always find it interesting how so many like YouTubers start out by doing some sort of animated music videos in some way or another. Like I started out with RuneScape music videos, which eventually transitioned to a couple anime ones here and there. But just like so many people you ask have like some experience with them. And
those weren't even my first ones that I made, but like I was literally making a couple AMVs on like Windows Movie Maker back when I was in like 5th, 6th grade.
Hell
but,
yeah.
But it's just one of those ways that like it definitely gets you into video editing, and it's a good fun way to like learn your way around the software and stuff if nothing else. And then there's a few people that went on to like master AMVs. I was not one of them.
Oh man, the AMVs these days with people who know what they're doing are kind of crazy. Like I'm impressed.
There's always a few that like I always watch like the best of from different cons and stuff just to see what people do, and it blows my mind.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really different video than the other ones I was watching. So I'm really glad that Metal Mama brought that up because it was very nice.
Thank you, Metal Mama.
I want to ask a little bit too, and this is probably my last question, about the skit you did with Anime Recon. I want to know how that came about.
I forgot about that.
It was very funny. For as long ago as that was, I found that very funny.
Really? Oh man, that was so bad. It was edited so bad. Like the lighting was bad. I was using my phone camera. Oh, like everything. There's a lot of stuff about it that was bad. Like I wasn't a big fan of the script, but looking back, it was definitely fun to make, if nothing else. And I think that was my entire point of making it. Was there used to be a YouTuber on the early days of the Rant Cafe called Macklnot.
Great guy.
He doesn't make YouTube videos anymore. Yeah, good guy. And he had a few skit videos that I remember watching. Like I didn't watch a ton of skits, but like I'd already watched some Smosh. I'd watched some Ryan Higa, and then I saw those. And I'm like, man, it just looks like everybody's having so much fun. So I was like, you know what? I just want to try making one on my own. Like I just want to try scripting something and seeing if I could make like a similar skit. I remember asking Recon to do it with me because I didn't know a ton of YouTubers at the time and stuff, so I was trying to find someone to collab with, and I just remember asking Recon. He was like hella down, and I don't know, we made that. I forgot that even existed. I think that was my first collab video, but like I think I blocked it out in some.
Well, I'm glad to bring up past traumas for you.
It was fun to make. It's just one of those things where when I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I still wouldn't really if I tried to do a skit probably. But I don't know. I just found it very fun, especially in the early days of YouTube, just trying to experiment with different types of videos. That way I could find out like what I liked making the most. You know, like I made so many different types of videos, like AMVs, skits. Like I was literally just throwing everything out there, trying to make different stuff, trying to find out what I liked making the most, because the whole thing was just so new, and there's so much out there that you could do. So many different avenues to explore, if you will.
Yeah, like my brother and I did skits way back in the day. No one will ever find that channel. Like I know you know what it is, Evan. But I'm not...
I sure do. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, I'm keeping that a secret.
Jordan off camera.
I will say, like, I never did the editing for it or the much. I helped a little bit with some of the writing and stuff, but like me and some classmates had to do skits for my English class, like all throughout high school. And like, we'd get A's, like we'd have to do like a report or something. She'd be like, you can just make a video and be like of mice and men and different things where we're just like, well, you know what, we'll make a little skit of this instead. Alice in Wonderland, like we did so many different ones.
I remember in high school,
I did that too.
Teachers were always super impressed whenever someone brought in like a video for their assignment.
A video, but they were so fun to make. Like you'll make a weekend out of it, just hanging with friends and having fun with it. And I was like, oh man, like those are so much fun.
I remember once we did a Romeo and Juliet one, but we couldn't get the audio to work. So we had to play a CD with our audio on it, simultaneously with the video.
You should have made a silent film. Like,
we should have just made it silent.
Take it back to the 20s, like just cut away after every line. Just
big
put
old
the
slides.
That's funny though. It's always interesting to hear people starting out with stuff like that as kids early on. Before a lot of YouTubers probably started out doing stuff like that on Windows Movie Maker or whatever they had.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think also. There's probably like a huge wave of YouTubers that like haven't even hit yet that are just like, you know, if you were to go on YouTube and search from like most recent, there's probably like all these kids doing like, you know, like AMVs or bad skits or, you know, their Let's Play of Minecraft. And it's like, you know, these people probably in like the next 5 years, they could be like the next huge channel. I'm not going to say the next PewDiePie, but maybe like, you know, tens of million.
The next Ninja.
Yeah. Like the next Ninja, like you never know. It's kind of weird to think like, that ahead of the curve. Like I remember being subscribed to Mr. Beast like before he even had 100,000 subscribers. So it's crazy to think how huge he is right now.
Dude, I just remember watching freaking like one of the first YouTubers I ever watched was Giguk. I remember watching his like most awesome characters in anime or coolest epically cool characters in anime or whatever series where he had all those different parts. And after that, I watched all his old videos and I'd watch like different freaking what would you even call it, like not a collage but like people putting together all the clips from like his funniest moments and stuff, a montage. And I'm like, man, like I didn't realize that wasn't even helping him, but like I was like, it's been like 10 years since then is what I realized the other day. I was like, that's crazy to think about, like the guys that we grew up watching. We've been doing it for like 10 years now, and then I don't know, that just blows my mind.
Yeah, and I think while we're on the topic of YouTube and I'm here with two YouTubers, I want to know, how do you guys handle the B word? How do you guys handle burnout or getting sort of frustrated or keep yourself at a healthy state of mind?
Spooks, I think this one's for you.
All right, I'll go first here, Jordan. So for me, it's definitely like tough in a way. I feel like usually the burnout for me happens after spending a really long time on like a certain project and just getting really drained on a day-by-day basis. I found that just trying to even just set really small goals after that, like when you're feeling the burnout and you know that you have to obviously keep making videos, one to continue your livelihood, but two, just because, you know, that you feel like people are just kind of like waiting for you to do something. Like you have that extra incentive, you could say, that you feel like you just need to put stuff out there regardless of what it is. I found that setting small goals on a daily basis, like maybe, you know, today you're going to write this much of the script, the next day you're going to write that much more, or depending on how big you want to set those goals, just getting something done each day or stuff like that, and being able to take breaks in between is really helpful. Like obviously like right now my upload schedule has been pretty trash for like the past like 6 months, but I'm working to get that better. Luckily, like the next couple projects I have are smaller, whereas like that Blade of the Immortal video I did not too long ago was very hard to get through because it just took such a long time, and I feel like there was so many like other things in life that I had to attend to, because like you have to balance a lot of things, right? Like you have to balance, you know, obviously working on the videos, then you got, you know, family and friends, if you have a significant other, general adult responsibilities, and then you got to find time to like, you know, keep your sanity with like free time, whatever hobbies you need to do in the meantime to keep that. Like balancing all of those things can be very tough, and like you can apply that to basically any adult, because every adult has like the same amount of responsibilities going on, unless they're, you know, living in a basement or something. But I found that getting through that video really gave me some new perspective on like just how long things can take if you don't like really apply a lot of your time to it each day. And I guess where I'm going with this is how I usually deal with burnout is just making sure to take breaks in between. Like if I know that I'm just going to drag my feet through the whole day trying to get anything done, it's better to just like step away from it and maybe like, I don't know, go watch a movie or read some manga, just like for enjoyment, rather than trying to, you know, analyze all the extra stuff to apply to later videos or anything like that. Because once you get into a creative space, you kind of look at a lot of things you used to just enjoy a little differently. I'm sure you, to some extent, Jordan, probably feel that as well, where like you're reading something new and you're trying to think about, like, for instance, with your Shonen Jump ranking, I'm sure like as you're reading it, you're trying to make like mental notes of all the things you like and don't like so that you can apply it to the video, right? But if you're just reading the manga, you're not really thinking about all that extra stuff. You're just kind of fully taking in the experience.
Right.
So I feel like it's important to try and step back from that creative mindset and just try to enjoy things just for the heck of it the first time around, and then maybe like apply all that stuff later. So I would definitely say breaks are important. I know it's hard for a lot of people to really step away for long periods of time, but even just like taking a day, even a couple hours away from it can be very, very important to mental health.
I definitely think you had a lot of good points there.
I know it's kind of a rant, but
no. You did say something about trying to keep your sanity throughout all that, and you know, I just kind of went ahead and discarded mine. One less thing you got to keep up with, you know. I don't know. I don't know if I've necessarily had a burnout per se. I think the closest thing was I kind of hit like a writer's block after doing all those initial Koei no Katachi videos. And I think it was just because so much work went into that first one, and literally so much work went into literally all of them. But like after that first one actually started to get a few views, they say that you know, if you actually start to get that momentum on YouTube a little bit and stuff, you better capitalize on it. And I was like, well, you know what, that worked, so let me go ahead and try to analyze these other characters. And I didn't really cut corners or anything. Like I definitely put the work into each one of those characters, but like I was still trying to do them as quick as possible. So like I was trying to do like a character a week basically. And there was times where like I didn't really completely understand the characters, and I would just sit there kind of looking at those panels with those characters on, every single panel from the manga after I went ahead and collected them. I'd just look at them over and over and over and stuff until it clicked. But sometimes trying to write that out and stuff was so hard. So like I finally got to a point where I did take a little bit of a break from those character analysis videos, just because like the actual writing of it was almost overwhelming there for like a little bit. I honestly think, like, I know you didn't really touch on this too much, Spooks, but like literally every time I start to consider Burnout or something, I think it literally getting to know Spooks has helped me a lot with that, because around the time I started to know him was around the time he did like 7 101 fact videos for like the week of 101s. It wasn't like, yeah, and like I just remember like I'd already kind of knew him a little bit before he did that, and then I just remember seeing that hit him like really, really hard. Like that was the most burnt out I think I've ever seen somebody that you kind of know on a personal level and stuff like do to themselves. So like there's so many times where like if I start to feel like a little bit tired or whatever, whenever I'm editing or writing or whatever now, I literally just think back to like some of the things Spooks has gone through and guys like that, and I'm like, man, if he can go through that, then like I have nothing to complain about. I just keep pushing. So like I don't know if I've necessarily gone through burnout, because I still enjoy what I do, but I feel like there's a lot of guys you can get inspiration from like that. I struggle with audio a lot of the times, and trying to get that recorded, and then like as I'm sitting there struggling with that, I think, Nux and guys like that have been getting out at like a video a day, like 20-minute videos. I'm like, if he can do that much audio, then I can at least do this much. Like I don't know, things like that seem to help out a little bit. But
yeah,
I think Twitch has also helped out a lot as far as burnout goes. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Why? Because I'm definitely putting more time into trying to separate between Twitch and YouTube. Like I'm definitely putting more time overall in. But I don't know. There's something very relaxing about like taking that time to sit there and play Apex on stream and just chill and chat with the boys or whatever. I feel like that's definitely helped as far as it doesn't feel as stressful like with burnouts and stuff. I don't know. I feel like taking that time to relax like that's very important. Apex breaks.
Yeah,
you know?
I took a little too many of those during that Blade of the Immortal video.
I always feel so bad whenever I like send you an invite. You're like, I'm working on a video. I'm like, dang it, like my bad.
But then I'm like, but
I guess I can take my break now.
Yeah,
being a bad influence.
Yeah, I feel like when you really feel burnout is when you sit down, like knowing what you want to do, but you just like physically can't do it. Yeah, like you just can't do it. You're like, bro, I just can't right now. Like that's when you know the burnout's real. But
I think the closest I felt to that was with those character analysis videos where I sat there like for so many hours every day, like for like a couple weeks and stuff. Like I was still in college, but like literally after my classes and stuff, like that's what I was doing. I'd literally sit there just thinking about the characters constantly, like, trying to understand them. Like I remember just taking showers thinking like, like why? like there was one video like I'm still not really proud of. Like I did a video on the orange-haired kid from Koe no Katachi Mashiba, right? And for the longest time, I was like, at the end of the day, like he hates bullies, but then he like falls for Kawaii, right? At the very end, it's like I still like her, and like even to this day, like I still like I don't really know why, but like I still just remember sitting in the shower, like just thinking about it, like sitting there about to go to sleep, just thinking about it. I'm like, why? Like I just could not wrap my head around it, but I forced the video out anyways and stuff, just trying to write it. So trying to write things whenever you don't really know if it's there, like that can be a little bit stressful burnout wise. But
yeah, the projects that require the most brain power are usually the ones that set you back like that for sure.
Right. Like I remember just trying to decipher these characters, if you will. Like.
I do agree with what you said about like Twitch being a nice break too. Because I know, like, a lot of times I don't always, like, turn the stream on, like, when I'm gaming or whatever, or, like, every time I'm editing. But just even turning on the stream while you're editing, even if, like, you know, you're editing, so, like, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but you kind of feel, like, more incentive to stay on task. Because, like, I know, for instance, like, I hate audio. You know that full well. It's the worst thing to edit, period.
Agreed.
But if I like, so I don't do that on stream, but just like editing in general, it's like usually, you know, you do a little bit and then like, I don't know, like let's go check Twitter real quick. Let's see what's going on. But if you have like a live audience and there's people, you know, interacting with you while you're going, you feel less like you're like, oh, I want to go check Twitter right now. Like you don't really feel that because you know, you're chatting with people, you're still getting your work done. It's like a great way to stay on task, basically. Oh, and also like get a little bit out of it.
That's something I haven't seen many people do. I literally 100% copied you on that. And I think it paid off a lot. It's one of those things where, like you said, it can be very distracting and it can feel like a grind sometimes if you're sitting there editing, especially a longer video. But I remember you mentioned doing that video where I ranked every single Shonen Jump manga, right? So like I did, it was a grind reading all those and then scripting it and then doing the audio for it. But whenever it came to the editing and stuff, I was like, man, I got to get this out quick. It's a 30-plus minute video. And I literally just took notes from, like, your editing streams. I was like, you know what? I'm still trying to stream a lot, so I was like, I'll just edit it on stream. And there was something about sitting there for, like, I spent a couple weekends in a row, just 8 or 9 hours on Saturday and Sunday, just streaming the editing process. And there's something, like, it doesn't feel like a grind at all whenever you're sitting there just chilling and chatting with whoever's in the chat and editing away at the same time. You get some automatic feedback if you're unsure about something.
Yeah. Oh, that's like one of the best parts.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I definitely feel like that was an underrated thing to do. And you're definitely one of the trailblazers on that one right there, Spooks. I enjoy it.
I got the idea from Your Movie Sucks, if you're familiar with that channel. I watch a lot of like film-related YouTubers in my spare time, but he's probably one of my favorites in terms of like actually bringing out like a lot of quality and hard work into everything he does. And, like, he does a lot of editing streams. So that's kind of where I got the idea that, like, people actually do that. But other than him, I really hadn't seen anybody else doing it at that time.
It doesn't seem very exciting. And, like, I mean, I've sat there and listened to you because, one, I feel like I can learn stuff about your editing. And, two, like, I just like listening to you talk and stuff. Like, you're a pretty interesting guy. But at the same time, like, I'd never really considered doing it myself because I'm like, it doesn't seem like the most entertaining thing in the world. But
yeah,
once you're actually doing it, like, there's just something very chill about sitting there and talking with the audience as you it just keeps you on task, like you said. It keeps you on task. It's like less stressful than you think it'd be, and I don't know. Just those are some of like the most productive editing days I've had when I do it on stream.
Yeah, it's a blast. I highly recommend it to any content creators who are listening, and you feel like your editing's dragging. Give it a shot. You never know.
Right. So Jordan didn't come to the podcast without bringing gifts. He in fact brought a full-on game for us to play and compete in. Isn't that right?
I hope you guys are ready. I was wanting to see who the best host was, and we got. There's only one way to find out. I gotta put you two head to head.
Oh, so
Evan versus Brandon. Let's see who comes out on top.
All right. Well, first off, what would you name this activity if you had to choose?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I can't name things.
I don't know.
My name is the
Great
anime
name.
dude. My name is the anime dude. I'm not creative when it comes to naming things. You guys should know that by now.
I was gonna ask you how you came up with that, but I felt it'd be too long of a story.
No, I was literally I was a high schooler. I liked anime. I was gonna name myself the anime guy on Twitter. It was taken by some guy with like 1 follower. So I was like, not guy. Dude, I wasn't a man just yet. I was in high school. So.
Do you ever regret having a name so close to the anime man? One of the biggest anime YouTubers?
All the freaking time. Not as much now, but like literally for the longest time, especially like even if I Googled my name or YouTube searched my name, like I wouldn't pop up. It'd only be Joey. So like, you know how hard it is not even being able to search yourself when you try? Like,
I mean, like I named mine after a meme. I'm just glad that like it stood out enough.
Dude, like I hated my name for the longest time. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but like only real similarities the anime, I guess, aspect of it.
I mean, I guess
the words the anime.
The main benefit is that seeing the name is kind of gonna give your viewers like an idea of what you're all about. Like you're a dude who likes anime. Whereas if you see the name like Too Spooky, they're gonna be like, "What the hell is this?"
No, but at the same time though, there's something good about that though. Like I like it whenever people don't limit themselves with their name, especially when I see new content creators start. Like your name's Too Spooky, so you could do anime videos, or you could do Mortal Kombat, you could do Fairly Odd Parents, you could do just about anything. McDonald's.
Shout out to the McDonald's video. I was just thinking that.
101 facts on McDonald's. Like you don't have a limit, but like me, if I start talking about other stuff besides anime, I probably need to make a second channel. Like.
Well.
So yeah, I regret my name all the time. Like Jesus, terrible name.
You could probably branch out to the sports dude.
The sports dude.
I thought about that. I'd probably just,
Have you thought about that?
I think I do remember you mentioning making a second channel for sports related stuff a long time ago.
I literally have a second Twitter now just called like Basket by Dude, like where the eyes look like L's, so it's just basketball dude. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
And
I'll go
just
follow
talk about
that
basketball
right now.
Well, to transition back to this sick activity we've got here, why don't you tell us what exactly you brought for us today and how to play along at home?
Alrighty, so basically I took some zoomed in clips of different anime characters / manga characters. Brandon here is going to put them on the screen.
Big facts.
And what we're going to do, since like I feel like I don't really know what all anime or manga Evan has seen or hasn't seen. So I literally just chose anime or manga that I know that Spooks has seen.
Okay. So we're rigging it.
So
I'm just kidding.
So Evan is gonna get to go first on all of these.
Oh,
and
perfect.
if he can guess the character, he gets a point. If he just guesses the series and not the character, he gets a half a point. And if he can't guess it on his first try, or if he's wrong, then Brandon gets a chance to take that point. So we're gonna see who can end up with the most points after these 10 characters are shown.
All right.
Alrighty.
Let's get it going. Sounds good to me.
Alrighty. Alright, let's do it. I'm going to pop the first one on the screen now. Should be showing up on Twitch momentarily.
This was actually one of the harder ones. It was one of the first ones I did.
Shoot. That could be from a lot of things.
I will say.
This one was one of the only manga ones. So.
I know what it is, and I know that you've seen this series.
I have seen it? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to guess One Punch Man.
Alright, well,
I have no idea what the character name is.
Can you name the character, Spooks?
the character is Cone from Bleach.
Oh,
it is Cone.
You got the whole point.
It's Cone. Buff Cone.
I'm sending you the picture right now.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm gonna pop it onto the screen
a
here.
little bit after that.
Oh, I see that. The answer's so good.
1 second here.
You see where I took the picture from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the answer right here. Buff
5 things
Cone.
you didn't know about Cup.
Yeah.
at that.
Hell yeah.
Look at that like-dislike ratio. That's pretty good.
Hey, that is pretty good. Alrighty. So I will now pop the second one on stream.
Number 2.
1-0.
Numero 2.
Okay. Oh. Do these ever get easier?
What?
These are actually probably. I thought this one was actually one of the easier ones. So maybe
Oh
not.
no!
Oh, I know you. I know you should know this one too, Evan.
I should know this.
No reading the chat.
Yeah, no reading the
Not reading
chat.
the chat. I'm not reading the chat. I'm closing it.
I guess for you two spooks.
All right. Is it from Dragon Ball Z?
Yeah, let me go ahead and send the picture so you can.
Oh wait, I haven't guessed yet. You can't show it.
Brandon the
I mean,
cheater.
Don't
I already
look.
knew it. To be fair, though.
Don't look.
Oh!
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's going from Hunter x Hunter when he's hospitalized after being a big boy.
Yep.
Oh!
So that means it's half a point for the anime and a point for the character name, right?
No, it's if you can name the character, it's a point. And that's literally all you get's a point.
The end is a
but
point.
if you can only name the series because you can't name the character or something, then it's a half a point.
Okay, cool. All right, so that means it's 2-0.
So like if you guess like say he said Hunter x Hunter, then like I'd be like, yeah, it's Hunter x Hunter. There's a half point. Now like who is it from Hunter x Hunter or something like that?
Bet. Well, let me just put the answer on stream for people who were curious. There you go. That's what it's been taken from.
Hey.
Look at that little
Another
skinny
pretty
boy.
sweet ratio on there.
Hey, there's a couple that don't have that, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, it's
All
the
right.
fighter bites.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
This one's an easy one. You got.
Oh, there we go. That's Mikasa Ackerman from Attack on Titan.
Oh my God. 1-2.
Boom.
Jesus, that was quick. The scarf gave it away, huh?
Dang it.
I would say I would probably guess Mikasa even without the scarf because it's the only female Attack on Titan character besides Annie that I would
I didn't know
recognize.
it's female.
What about Historia?
What do you mean? How do I know it's female?
Did you just assume the gender of that character?
I'm gonna get demonetized if I explain it.
All right. Do you want to send me the answer, Jordan?
Yep.
Just so I can give it to the boys at home. I like how you
Look
just
at
took these
that.
from every
They're
just
all your
screenshotted different videos.
Well, you don't have a my anime list, and I figured this was a good way to make sure that
True.
this is like main reason Evan's going first every time, so you don't.
He's edited all the videos.
All right. Boop. And there we go.
Okay, so do I have to guess the character's name first, or can I guess the
No,
series?
you game the
first?
series first, and then if you're
So
right,
it's from
you can go on.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think it's Kaiba's little brother Mokuba.
Ooh.
I'll give him a half point for it.
Half point.
All right.
It's Jaden Yuki.
Oh, that's.
Yes.
All right.
3-point boys.
Oh my
Oh,
God. 3 to 1.5.
I'm doing way better than I thought I would.
Let me send that answer in there just so people can see.
That was a good
Hell
crop
yeah.
of that.
Here's what our boys looking like. Hell
That was
yeah.
a very recent video.
Oh man.
Alrighty, 4 is... That was number 4, right? Yep, 4. So now here is 5. Dang it.
Let's see. Oh, that's Obito.
That
Or
was
Toby.
quick. That was
Okay,
quick.
that's fair.
Oh, man.
Alright, so 2.5. Dang it,
All
catching
right,
up.
I'm doing way better than I thought I would.
I mean, I know that you've seen a lot of the same things as me. Like, obviously not
Yeah.
everything, but a lot of it.
Oh, look at him.
That one, I literally thought about just doing the mask, like without the hair added to the corner, but I was like, oh, that'd be mean. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to just get the mask.
There it is. There is.
That was quick, though. I'm impressed.
One of our
To be
friends,
or not to be?
one of our friends, when we went to an anime convention, dressed up as Obito.
Yep, our previous guest, Zesty Luke, in fact.
Uh-huh. So, okay. Is this from Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, is it Piccolo?
Oh! No.
Oh, I know who it is.
Yes, it's Cell.
It's
Specifically
Cell.
Form 1
I
Cell.
knew it.
It's gotta be Form 1 Cell.
So on those, are we wanting to go like a half point each if like he guesses the series and then you go on to guess the character, or are we I'm just giving you the full
Well,
point.
I mean, I got
He
the
can have the
character
full point.
name, so
He
that's
can
where
have
the
the
full
full
point
point.
comes from.
Full point? Okay, making sure. I didn't know which way you
But
wanted to do that.
so he's got 3 now, and I got 4.
3 to 4.
Oh,
Look at him.
got him. Oh, it was cell 1 or form 1 of cell.
Once I got Dragon Ball Z, I knew I had a 50-50 shot there.
Heck yeah.
One of the green guys.
Of green boys, yep.
Green boys. All right. Numero 7.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
This one's harder a little
I'm not gonna lie. I actually don't have a clue on this one. So.
Okay. It's some eyes. And
Like I'm racking my brain what this could be from.
what have I watched recently? Jojo. And I didn't say that until the end.
I will give one hint, all right?
Okay.
I will say I did not do the same character twice. All right? So it's not going if that's what you guys are.
Okay.
Okay. Is it from Hunter x Hunter?
No.
Okay. Well,
Was that your guess? Or?
I thought that hint gave something away, but it didn't.
Oh, no. I was literally just like one of the first things I just thought of whenever he pulled up the picture right here was I thought Gon. I was like, "Oh wait, no. Like I don't want them to think that cuz I literally already did Gon." So
I mean, I'll let you guess again, Evan, if you
I'll
want
let
to.
you guess another.
Oh, well, I get to guess again. Phenomenal.
Like, I might have an idea for the anime, but I'm very unsure.
So
I was just letting you go twice. That way,
Not
eliminating the series,
dumber.
narrowing it down for him.
Oh boy. I don't know. Is it from Naruto?
No, it is not.
Okay.
I'm just gonna guess
Alright,
Full
so-
Metal Alchemist.
Nope.
Damn.
Oh my God, neither one of you guys got that. All right, I'll send in the answer now.
All right, I'm
I mean, I get a point.
shaking
for
with
that?
anticipation. Jordan gets a point. Oh, it's Mob Psycho.
Oh no!
Oh.
How did you not remember that, Brandon?
I mean,
You
You
watched
reviewed every frame of
Wait.
it.
Every
Hold up.
frame.
I mean,
You watched
I
every
see it
frame.
now.
Yeah, I didn't
There's
watch
no
every frame.
I see it now, but I wouldn't have guessed that before. I was stumped.
Yeah,
I
that's
couldn't
fair.
think of what it was. Wow.
Oh, that's a good one.
Got
that's
me.
really good.
Got me. All right. Number 8.
Great.
Okay, so now that I know you didn't do the same series twice, I thought I knew what this one was, but now I'm clueless.
I have not the slightest clue. I'm gonna guess Fairy Tale.
You think this one's from Fairy Tale?
Yeah.
Sure.
I do think that.
Oh no, it's not.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay. So if these are coming from videos on my channel, let me think very
Yeah, you better
hard.
not look at your videos.
I'm not. I'm
so
not
unfair.
touching
Go
anything.
look.
I have
Don't go look.
I have like
Don't
a
even
window.
look at the
I have a
titles.
window open
No.
over the chat too, so I can't see what
Don't
people
even-
are saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved the chat too.
Don't even look at your old videos.
I'm not. I'm literally not
You should
touching
know off
anything.
the
I'm
top
just
of your
staring at the stream preview on Streamlabs here, looking at
Gosh,
this. I mean, it really doesn't look like the Full Metal Alchemist style, but I'm just gonna guess that. I don't know.
Full Metal Alchemist? It is not.
Fuck.
Oh man.
Read.
All right. Let me go ahead and send this answer. And you guys are failing hard on these.
Oh,
last
we've
few
got. We started
Oh.
off strong.
Oh my. Wow. Wow. Okay. So
Can't
that
say
would
it's
be
not safe for stream. 'cause it was on
Tatsumaki's
YouTube.
hindquarters. Oh my god. Nobody guessed that in the chat. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
That looks like
I'm
a
glad
butt.
none of us are cultured. Wow. My
Oh,
goodness.
God.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I
Well,
had to.
I
I was scrolling through
really
pictures
good.
of her. I was like,
I literally thought that was like hair in
That's so
between
good.
biceps. So
I picked all these out in like 20 minutes over my lunch break today.
Oh my god.
Nothing
All
else
right.
thought went into.
Here we go.
I think this is Nina from Full Metal Alchemist.
Is
Oh.
that your final guess?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh,
What?
I think I know what it is then. If it's not that, it's got to be
Oh,
Light
no.
Yagami from Death Note.
No.
Nope.
What?
Oh my god, you guys are all struggling.
What?
Hold on, let me send it in. Let me send this in.
Oh my
yes.
god.
Thank goodness.
Oh, it's Natsu! What? Are you kidding me? Bruh.
That's a really good crop. 'cause
Oh
I
my
would have
God.
never
Guardian
guessed
got
that
it.
was pink hair.
The hair, yeah, it
Ultra
almost looks
Guardian
brown,
got
dude. It almost looks brown. Whoa.
It's from your
oh.
video. You picked that picture.
Well,
Spook.
okay. I made that video when I did not have a clue about Fairy Tale, for the record. And for two,
good.
Yeah, I know, great decision on my part. Never again. But
You made a video on facts on this guy, and you can't.
bro, the hair looks brown.
Ultimate Guardian got it. You should get. Oh
My god, dude. Oh my god. All right, so that was number 9. All right, here is number 10.
That's Escanor from
Fuck!
Seven Deadly Sins.
quick.
Easy.
I didn't know if he'd recognize the mustache. I should make sure not to do an anime one on that one. I was black and
That
white.
was good.
Dang it.
All right, let me go ahead and send the answer in so that they can see where it came
I
from.
mean, that is a top 10 stash of all time.
What's the score count? I'm terrible at keeping score.
We have 4 and 4.
We are
Yep.
tied.
Oh, so we gotta go through the tiebreaker then. Okay.
Yep, we're going into the last one.
The
I actually have a
bonus.
bonus one. Bonus.
Ooh.
There is where that's from. Ooh. Oh my god. All right, and the absolute bonus. Look at that.
That's this is my favorite anime, probably. The Fairly Odd Parents. That's Wanda, I believe.
I lost.
Oh my god.
Oh, he took the win.
Evan wins.
Well, I guess
All right.
I
there's-
didn't know if you'd get that one. I thought it'd be a little bit of a trick because
Now we know who the better co-host is. God
That's
dang
crazy.
Evan won the anime challenge.
God
Oh
dang
man,
it.
I am undefeated in guest challenges so far.
They were your videos, spooks.
And they were your videos.
I mean, I didn't get to go first. I guess I screwed up a couple of them for sure. So you have that on
You had
me.
your
I will
chances.
give you that. Oh my god.
Oh, I'm so happy they were your videos. That makes it so much better.
I'm very upset that I didn't get some of those. I can't believe.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that Light Yagami one. Or, I'm sorry, Natsu.
You were so
really threw me
confident.
off. Dude, it
I
looked
said
so
that-
much like a screen, like the hairstyle.
It looked like the
Okay.
I will eat a chip. Like Yagami.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, if it
take
wasn't
Oh,
a
Nina,
chip.
like you, thought I'm like, all right, so, damn it, frick.
I was worried you guys were gonna say Attack on Titan because it looked like Potato Girl.
Well,
a
I know
little bit
you
whenever-
already did Mikasa, though,
That's,
and you said you weren't
I
doubling
tried to
up.
make sure they were all different series and characters. I believe, so, if
Dang,
I'm not
dude.
mistaken.
Dang, dude. All right.
Oh, that was great. I really liked that.
Wow. That was, wow, thanks for doing that, Jordan. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you,
You're
Jordan.
welcome.
Big upset at the
Evan.
end, but
Evan, never let him live that down. Just
No, his videos?
do me a
That's
favor.
I
I'll
got
be
you,
hearing
Jordan.
about
No,
this.
don't worry.
years.
Oh shoot.
Oh man. So, now that we had that, let's talk a little bit about the manga/anime we are reading/watching.
Heck yeah. Well, I guess before we get into the weekly chapters here of a couple that we're going to be talking about, I guess we should just ask Jordan in general. You know, is there anything new you're reading/watching lately?
There's been a few different series that have kind of came out. All the recent Shonen Jump series. I don't know if they're just going too hard towards gags or what, but like a lot of them haven't really caught my interest. The last two have been Mori King and Bone Collection. I made videos on both, and I don't know, like the ending of chapter 2 for Bone Collection was just very disappointing to me. Like they went down a very gag route, and I don't know if it's just because Gintama ended like recently or what, but there's been so many gag manga in Jump that just a lot of them haven't hit with me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as series that I would say to read that are a little bit newer, don't have an anime adaptation as of yet. I really like Mashal, Magic and Muscles. I really like Act Age. Chainsaw Man isn't bad. It just kind of depends on your taste and stuff. Like it took me a little while to get into it, but once I got into it, I found it very entertaining. If nothing else, it wasn't like too deep of a story, but it was entertaining. One that's a little bit underrated. It like is basically like a gag manga, but it doesn't really seem like one based on the first chapter. Was oh crap, what was it called? It was a spy one, but it's in Weekly Shonen Jump. Something Family. Man, I'm blanking on names. I'm so bad with names.
It's all good. I have no clue, so I can't say.
Yeah, I don't know. If I could help you, I would.
It's Mission Yozakura Family. I didn't look it up, but like it just took me a while to remember.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a good one. It was an underrated comedy. But I don't know. There's a lot of big long running series in Shonen Jump that are either in their last arc or are going to be coming to an end soon. I still need to catch up to a lot of them. As far as I'm a few chapters behind on most series, but I think Demon Slayer's ending soon. It's like winding up. The Promised Neverland's in its last arc, if I believe, and Haikyuu's wrapping up. I think we're about to enter like a new era here soon, and I don't really know what the newest standouts are going to be. It's an exciting time, but it's also a little bit worrisome. But I don't know. Is there anything that you guys are reading that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, well, we're going to be talking about a couple of them. But I guess in terms of like what you just listed off here, I recently got caught up with Chainsaw Man myself. And I have to say, like, it was a really easy read. I got through it really quickly. I think there's only like, 60-something chapters out right now, like the later 60s. I would say it's one of those manga where the story itself isn't like super interesting. It's more just kind of like a really basic concept. But I really like a lot of the characters. Well. And the powers are pretty cool. I would say the characters are mainly what drive it for me. Like, it's definitely become more of like a guilty pleasure manga rather than like something I think is like, extravagant. But I think if they animated that with a good animation studio, it could be like top tier. Like similar to what happened with Demon Slayer, where you take like a seemingly simple concept, but you really like go above and beyond with the visuals and the presentation, really make it stand out.
No doubt. One thing that I'm really excited to see animated, like I said, I listed a few things there. One is Act Age, which is a Shonen Jump manga about acting in general, I guess. You have the main character. She's this young lady that... I'm trying to think how to describe her without spoiling stuff. I guess in the first couple chapters, it just lets you know that she's really good about method acting, which is where you just kind of immerse yourself in the role. But then it kind of goes over the psychological implications of that, of somebody being that good at it, and how it's like ruined actors in the past and whatnot. Like, say you're playing in a role where somebody's very emotionally hurt, and your method acting, whatever, to that extreme, like, you're gonna come, the performance itself might be magnificent, but like you're kind of just like gradually self-destructing and destroying yourself in the process, potentially. So like it's kind of her journey of like, one, to become an actor, but two, to like mature and grow as a person. And each thing that they end up making a movie on or acting out or whatever ends up having like an overarching theme about it that also plays into the main narrative. And I don't know, it's just a very well done series that I can't wait to see animated. I feel like once it is animated, it's going to have a lot of new fans, and it might be like the next big thing to come out of Shonen Jump, as far as like, how Demon Slayer and Black Clover and all those things have made waves. It's not a battle shonen by any means, but I do think it'll make waves once it's animated.
Yeah, I remember watching your Shonen Jump ranking video, and that one specifically and Mashal both really interested me. And I think the concept of Act Age, like you explained it, the psychological implications of being a method actor, and like, and the identity crisis that could create, I think that's pretty fascinating.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's one of those where it's hard to explain without like. It's just so unique in the in the entire approach. So like, it's one of those where I definitely recommend people read it for themselves. But I haven't really had a person I recommended it to yet that went and read it and was disappointed in it. Everybody said that they loved it after reading it, but it's one of those where it's not really like an eye-catching battle shonen. So it's not like something I don't think a lot of people will be reading. And then once it's actually made into an anime, though, like I feel like it'll catch a lot of people's eyes. So.
Well, is there anything you're reading recently there, Evan, or do you want to jump into the chapters that we are catching up on here?
Yeah, I guess I'll. Well, first, I'm recently, excuse me for that cough, watching Diamond is Unbreakable from Jojo.
Oh.
And so I'm about halfway through that, and I'm really enjoying it. I think that the atmosphere and sort of the episode tones are really interesting to me. I like them a lot. Specifically Morio. I think the background, and I know I texted you this, Brandon, but I think Jojo is really an anime that it kind of gains another level when it's animated versus as a manga. Not that the manga's bad ever, because that's what I read for part 3, and I really enjoyed it, and there were certain episodes with Oingo Boingo that I wanted to watch are my favorite characters. But yeah, I just think it's been really interesting, and I'm excited to see how the latter half goes.
Yeah, I would say, like, as far as, like, having seen parts 1 through 5, like, in the anime, I would say that, one, whoever's directing it, they're doing, like, a fantastic job of really, like, bringing the manga to life in a unique way.
Absolutely.
And I think part 4 in particular is the one that they really nailed it on. I think part 3, there's some things about, like, the animation style that, like, at least in some parts, where I feel like they could have maybe done a little better, but it was still really top tier for adapting it. And then part 5 kind of takes a step back from part 4, like for me personally, in terms of like, you don't really notice a lot of those things from the earlier seasons where like there's like a lot of like color changes and the stuff where like you'd see like the words vibrate on screen, like all those JoJo meme type stuff. You don't really see that a lot in part 5. But I would say part 4 is where they really nailed it by making it like a super unique and top tier experience compared to the manga, where like it kind of transcends it and makes it a lot better. And I am happy to see what you're going to think of the second half, because I think that's the better half for me. But the earlier part 2, where it's like kind of, in part 3, they have to go to Egypt, so like there's this whole new scene, new fight all the time, whereas in just a small quaint town, it makes it more kind of like down to earth in a way.
Yeah, and I like it getting more modern. I think that interests me more.
Yeah, that too.
I'm really excited for you. I just love it so much when somebody new starts JoJo's. Like,
yeah, it's kind
I only watched it. I was about to say I only watched it for the first time like a couple, maybe like 2 years ago. Less maybe. I don't know, but I've watched through it twice, all the way through. And first time through, like part 1, I was mainly just laughing at it because I didn't know what the heck was going on. Part 2, you start to see the potential of it, because it's it's a generational thing to where no characters are really safe. Anything can happen. You start to realize that, and like there's so much potential there. Part 3 felt a little dragged out the first time through. It's so long and almost episodic in a way, a little repetitive. And then part 4 and 5 were really good. But it's one of those things where, like, towards the end of it, I started to really get into that vibe of JoJo's. Like, I feel like that's such an underrated thing. Like, getting into that vibe changes everything. Because then I rewatched it, and I think part 3 is, like, my favorite part. Like, you just love every aspect of the journey. Not nearly long enough. And I don't know. I'm just really excited for you, my guy. Like one, like, yeah, you're watching it, you're experiencing it. But, like, if you can just get into that vibe, like, the whole groove of JoJo's as a whole, it's such a unique show. I don't know. I love it.
It is super unique. Yeah, absolutely. It's not like any other battle anime or manga. It's very its own thing, and
it's the definition of extra. And once you get to be that extra, like you appreciate it more and you love it.
And it's almost got not almost. It definitely has its own subculture in anime fans.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of gotten out of control with some JoJo fans I've seen. At least just experiencing it through Twitter and whatnot. But
I think it's just because it's grown to a point where there are a ton more fans. Where I feel like once any fan base grows that much, you're gonna have those people that kind of
I agree with that
fan base
for sure.
The name of a lot of the fan bases that you think have bad fans, and a lot of them it's because that fan base got so big that like those type of people are definitely just more likely to be. They might not be the majority, but they're definitely usually the loudest.
Yeah, like look at Rick and Morty, my favorite anime.
Oh yeah. I love Rick and Morty, like one of my favorite shows. But like, there are some people that.
You see those meme videos of the guy screaming at McDonald's for Szechuan sauce, right?
Szechuan sauce,
That's not the whole fan base, but you see more and more of those videos, and you're like,
Super excited for you,
one
though.
thing.
Yeah.
I am super excited.
Thanks, guys. So, Brandon, what have you been reading / watching?
Well, I recently got caught up with Chainsaw Man. I've been watching some Gintama, slowly getting through it. It's still very early in. I'm finishing my first complete rewatch of GX, because I did a lot of did a research for it for the video, because like back in the day I was super into the original series, but when GX came around I only saw like bits and pieces as it was airing. So this is like my first true experience of it. So that's exciting. I started reading a manga called Black Cat, which is an older shonen.
Oh, that was my first anime. Or, I don't know.
I'm liking it so far. I'm not very far, though.
Awesome.
It's kind of like about, the best way to describe it is like hitmen, sort of. But like, they're just kind of
like
getting...
bounty hunters-ish?
Yeah, like bounty hunters where like... I guess hitman's not the right word. Basically, like you said, like bounty hunters where they're, they get a target, they capture them, make money. Sometimes dead, sometimes alive, sometimes both.
It used to be in Jump, didn't it? Or I don't know if it used to be in Jump. It was definitely a shonen.
It's a Shonen Jump manga. I think it's about 20 volumes long. So it's like it's got a decent size of it. I'm not sure like how popular it was back in the day or anything, because I don't really know much about it. It just kind of caught my eye. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. Other than that, I haven't really been watching too much else other than just keeping up with the weekly stuff, monthly stuff. I will say though, like for Gintama in particular, like it's supposed to be this series that is like very like it has a very big reputation.
Yeah, I'm excited for your hot take here.
Yeah, because like a lot of people like put it up there like in their top 5. Like it's supposed to be that good. But so far, it's been kind of underwhelming for me. It's kind of like an episodic comedy right now with like little bits of like characterization and, you know, plot sprinkled in here and there. But the fact that it's episodic hasn't really given me anything to like latch onto. You know, obviously, like since it's a comedy, like some of the jokes make me chuckle here and there. But I'm just waiting for like apparently these quote unquote serious arcs of Gintama where like it really quote unquote gets good. So I'm just gonna you know make it a slow burn because I'm definitely like enjoying it, but I'm not impressed. That's what I say about it.
That's kind of how I am, but I'm only like 8 episodes in, so I'm like not even nearly as much as you on Gintama. But as far as Black Cat, fun fact, my avatar for my YouTube channel, I just remember telling the artist, I was like, make it like Train Heartnet, but different hair or whatever.
Yeah, I was interested that his name was Train, of all things. Just like...
I know. But he was like one of my favorite characters growing up, and I don't think it was necessarily any amount of depth to him, really, like, because, I don't know, I don't remember a ton about the show, but I just remember thinking he was really cool. He was like one of the first anime I ever watched, so a lot of nostalgia there. I probably need to rewatch that at some point. I'm interested in hearing how you end up liking it as a, you know, as a...
complete thing.
Non-starry-eyed kid.
Yeah.
First discovering anime.
Oh, I will certainly let you know as I get through it. I'm probably only like 20 chapters in, maybe. I haven't got that far yet. Just reading in the downtime now that I have the Shonen Jump app, which is super nice, by the way. I like it a lot.
I love the app, but oh man, I forgot it's on there. I need to just read it.
Yeah, it is. So I would recommend, since you have such a history with it, you know, maybe bring some nostalgia back into your life.
Right.
But in terms of stuff that we've all read, I know that we were going to talk about it last episode, but we had a uneducated guest when it came to Berserk. But Berserk got a new chapter shortly after we first did our first episode of the podcast, and now we actually get to talk about it. So what did you guys think? Let's put it out there right now.
I mean, it just looked like it kind of set some things up. I mainly just kind of skimmed it and stuff because you guys said you wanted to talk about it, and I hadn't read it yet. I'm the type to let a few chapters build up and then
that's how I am too. For sure, but I was on my way getting caught up with this one.
But I don't know. I've read through Berserk a few times, and like, if I read through a new chapter like all by myself, like it just makes me want to read more Berserk.
Yeah.
So, it's always hard to just read that one chapter, which is why I usually wait for a little bit and then.
Yeah, well, I think like you said, it's building up to a lot more to come after.
I am definitely just happy seeing Casca back, you know. I love her. I don't know if wait, are we allowed to say that?
Oh, like, if we're talking about chapters, we're spoiling shit, boys. Okay. Get ready.
I assumed. I didn't know. All right. Yeah, I've ever since Casca's came back, like I've been so excited for like every chapter that's followed. Just seeing more.
I mean, from what I've heard, Miura has a lot of like new assistants that he's been training for a while to like really get his new style down. And according to what he said in an interview, this is where like Berserk chapters are supposed to become like semi more frequent, because now that he's getting his assistants up to par with, you know, like his expectations, we'll say, we could actually be seeing like cause like this chapter kind of ended with like a cliffhanger with the Skull Knight coming up to Guts, right? Yeah. Talking about like the end of his journey and like how it's not everything it's set out to be. So it gives me the impression that we're probably going to be transitioning into like what's going to be the final arc. Like maybe, you know, now that Casca's back and the Fairy Queen, I think that's who it is, right? The Fairy Queen, King, one of those two.
I believe so.
Elf. Right, my bad. So the Elf King or Queen. I'm pretty sure it's the Queen, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I've like read when they first got to the island.
I think it's the Elf King, but she is a woman.
Yeah. So now that she's saying that she's going to be helping get Casca's like mental state back to where it should be, I feel like Guts is basically going to have to somehow confront Griffith at some point. Like, I feel like we're going to be building up to this final conflict eventually. Like, coming to, like, whenever... Because now that they got there, she's back to, well, quote-unquote back to normal. We got to be transitioning to what's going to be, like, the end game for the series.
Yeah, it blows my mind reading some of these newer chapters that have taken place on this Elf Island, or... What is it called? Like, the Elf Kingdom or Elf Island, or
I think it's Elf Island.
All right, I couldn't remember what it was called, but like ever since I got there and stuff, just seeing some of the freaking surroundings like that have been put into showing this place. Like I feel like the art is better than it's ever really been.
For sure.
Like that blows my mind. Like he's improved so much over the years, and you'd think like with him getting older and like the stress of actually like maybe finishing the series and like giving it a conclusion, like you'd think that maybe that would cause the art to decline a little bit, but no, but it's the opposite.
Yeah, and Brandon, when you were saying about getting assistance, imagine how big of an honor that would be to be an assistant for Berserk.
I know, right?
And that
imagine.
art style.
It's crazy.
Right.
And like I just like the one panel that I think of in terms of like peak Berserk art is when Griffith is on top of like the gigantic hulking I don't even remember his name, but like the somewhat dictator like guy.
Yeah.
And the Skull Knight's there. Oh my god, why can't I think of his name? Starts with the Z. Frick.
Zod.
For some reason, like,
yeah.
Zed was coming to my mind, but I knew that wasn't right. Zod is, like, I don't know, that panel just always brings me back to, like, I don't know, peak Berserk, and it's just gotten better since then. It's crazy to, like, just read, like, the first arc and see how far he's come as an artist alone.
Right.
Because I know,
Yeah,
like...
I really...
Go ahead. I was just going to say, since you've been, like, reading through it, like, you know, you've been catching up, you've been able to see a more recent perspective of, like, how he began versus where he's at now.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more... I mean, not that there ever wasn't world building, because obviously the first arc is like 100 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is world building up to the climax of that arc. But I think that he just never lets anything be. Everything always has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think reading through it all the way straight, like I have, you can see a lot of those characters come back and go away and how they've changed. And it's really fascinating. And yeah, like you said, clearly... Like, just from looking at the art, you can see the detail in the eyes now, and sort of, like, it's incredible.
Because, like, I know also
really...
in terms of that, like, Jordan has been reading Berserk for years now, so he got to experience all the hiatuses, like, when they were on the ship, for instance, whereas we got to, like, just experience it straight through with, like, good pacing.
No, that's what I was about to bring up, was just how, like, you realize how different a lot of stuff is whenever you're experiencing it in like a binge format compared to week to week. So like while things seem to be going so slow right now, like Spooks was saying, when I first caught up, like the boat arc was like starting. So and waiting for so long on every single boat chapter, it felt like forever. It felt like they literally spent years on a boat. So you know, Guts was just always on a boat. I'll always remember that boat. But you know, I went back and reread it after that, and the pacing of that arc, like seeing how well it flowed and how it didn't drag on whenever you were reading through all the way, it honestly kind of blew my mind a little bit, like how that works.
Yeah, that's
I don't
fascinating.
know, like it's one of those things where it's hard. That's why it's hard for me to almost go year to year with Berserk chapters, with you know the annual chapter and whatnot. But
yeah, I know with Hunter x Hunter, I'm gonna have to go back and reread this whole arc because every
like
time a new one comes out, I'm like, what are they doing?
It's all words too. There's like no pictures. It's like a novel, dude.
Yeah, I think like
he's still explaining.
With like the last few chapters I remember from Hunter x Hunter, I feel like they're getting into the meat of what the Secession arc is going to be.
Yeah.
But obviously there's still things they need to introduce, and like they actually need to get, you know, interactions happening between all the sons and daughters. It's going to be interesting.
Dude, not just that. Togashi's still freaking introducing like new Nen concepts.
Oh, I know.
He's like, this is how this works. I'm like, what? Like, isn't this is the most fleshed out system? Like, that makes sense and is balanced and everything in all of anime and manga. And, like, he's still adding more to it that just elaborates on it.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, it blows my mind.
Man.
But
I'm really excited for that to come back.
Going back to Berserk and how Evan was saying, everything has a purpose. You know, I really can't wait to see the whole purpose of that nose being. Like, I feel like... we know a little bit from the wiki.
The
I got a
omnipotent
link
being.
To slide your way, Jordan.
I saw the wiki page, but like I can't wait to actually see the canon chapter on it if we get one. I feel like that's gonna be more towards the very latter end of the series, maybe an epilogue of sorts. But
the last panel is just the nose creature.
yeah, you know, a little bit before you know, whoever's we're viewing the story through is ended, but you know, I feel like that'll be interesting. Nothing else. I'm really excited for it.
I mean, speaking of noses, I feel like one of the things that like in Berserk that I'm most interested to see is what's going to end up happening with the Baelit or Behelit that Guts has been hanging on to since like the first arc. Because I feel like that's going to come back into play somehow, whether it be he himself, quote unquote, using it, or it's going to be somebody else in his party or somebody completely different. Because, you know, it's kind of insinuated that they are like a piece of destiny in a way. Like, since he has it right now, he is carrying it to where it is fated to be at some point in time, whether that be for him or for somebody else completely. I'm just interested to see where that ends up, because it's kind of like this plot thread that's been there the whole time that has yet to like really take form.
And not only that, Guts is my favorite character in all of anime or manga. So, like, it kind of goes without saying that, yes, he's human. He's one of the most human characters we've ever gotten to know in any medium. And I know I sound like a fanboy saying that. I'm probably just kind of rambling on a little bit about that. But as far as foreshadowing and stuff goes, like, there's always one scene I remember reading of, I don't know if it's like his dark side. I'm trying to think back on
the Berserk armor,
where it shows the dog and like he almost rapes Casca.
Yep.
And seeing the fact that he's capable of that, and seeing how well it was elaborated upon, the reasoning for it back whenever Griffith did it. As much as like we love to hate on Griffith and say Griffith did everything wrong, and we see everything through Guts because he's the protagonist and everything, they may not be as different as like we like to think they are. And I don't know, I'd love to almost see that explored a little bit, like a little bit more based on that foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they've obviously taken very different paths, and Griffith's giving into destiny, and Guts has fought it. But
yeah, and I think
I don't know.
There's such perfect foils. Like, that's what they're placed up to be, right? Like, you look at their armors and everything, it's so opposite. Yeah. And so I think
they're compared and contrasted all the time. But yeah, I don't know.
And I think you're right. That idea, that concept sounds so fascinating to me, of how similar situations are approached differently. Like you said, the rape of Casca, right? And I think
like seeing that Guts was capable of that. Like I remember that just hit me hard. I was like, man, like, because he literally is like basically dedicating his life to protecting the shell of the girl that he once loved, and then but like he's still capable of giving into those,
losing himself.
Like, losing himself. Yeah, in that.
So I will say, like, when it comes to Griffith in particular, I feel like that's like the point where basically anybody who could still sympathize with Griffith kind of like was like, all right, what the fuck are you doing, bro? At least for me personally, because if I can even though it's, you know, not cool, I can totally understand like why he would sacrifice his friends, right? Because they go through that whole speech about how like, oh well, you've already kind of stomped on this many people to get to this goal, so what's just a few more, right? Like, even though they're your dearest friends and the people you respect the most, like, you've already sacrificed countless lives to reach this goal, and now here's your chance. So I would understand why he would do that, but I always kind of just was like very confused on why he would take that extra dominance phase like right after all that. I don't know. It just,
I think there's a few different reasons for it, and like the various analysis I've seen of it and stuff, and also just reading it myself a few times. But I think the meat and potatoes of it is simply the fact that after those steps were taken, like you said, it was kind of elaborated upon why he did it. Like, he didn't want all the sacrifices to go to waste. He sacrificed his friends. It was kind of built up upon that he was getting jealous of Guts. Mm-hmm. But after he became Femto, I guess you'd call it, after he went through that transformation, there's a lot of people that say he like lost his humanity. And I don't agree with that, but I think it's more so that he started to embody everything wrong with humanity, if that makes sense. Like, he started to... He was no longer himself, but he started to embody that part of humanity that we like to pretend doesn't exist. That part of humanity that, as we saw, even Guts is capable of whenever he loses himself. Like that, I don't know. Like, it's just, he started to embody that darker side of humanity that we like to pretend isn't there.
Yeah, and I think...
And I'm probably rambling a little bit, but...
No, I think you're totally onto something, because I think the first time I ever read, like, even the first chapter or few arcs of Berserk, you know, it comes across as an allegory, right? So that everything stands for something else. And I think that's very embodied with Guts' name, right? Most allegories, they're pretty upfront with what the characters represent. Some of them are more subtle, but whatever. But Guts clearly is like masculinity, sort of like courage and stuff like that to go against things. And so
push it all down and fight through.
And and so I think that you're right. There is going to be some contrast with Griffith and what he represents as that negativity of humanity.
I mean, Berserk as a whole, like, just literally loves to explore the whole nuances of humanity. Like, the whole, whenever it goes into the whole philosophy, I like to say philosophy. It's like the world's religion behind, what do you call it? The idea of evil.
Yeah,
I think looking into that is so fascinating, because it's one of those things where, yes, they have these evil gods or deities or whatever, but the reason that they exist is because humans like to believe that they can take credit for the good things in life. Like, if you do something that you're proud of, you did that. You can take pride in it. But if something bad happens, it's like, oh, why did God do this? So because we like to take credit for the good things in life, and and blame some otherworldly thing on the evil aspects of life. Like we don't like to assume responsibility for it. So
yeah,
like the entire idea of evil and the philosophy behind it. I'm probably not doing a very good job of
no, I
verbalizing
love
it.
it. I'm literally getting goosebumps hearing you talk about it.
No, it's just so fascinating. So then seeing them explore that whole that whole avenue through the characters that we get to know and love, like Griffith and Guts.
Yeah, and I think
it's
what you
fascinating.
hit on with evil too is like you look at Griffith and he's
Mm-hmm.
like Brandon said earlier, like when he rapes Casca, that's the point where like we have no sympathy for him, right?
Oh, none.
But then he comes back, and especially right now, he's made Falconia, and he's made this beautiful place where everyone's allowed and only good things happen, right? And it's like it's hard to criticize that.
Well,
it's hard to think of them as like.
Well, it has a double side though, if you think about it though, because although he has created this utopia of sorts, right? At the same time, it's kind of like cost the world itself to like fall into despair, because like now all these apostles are just everywhere. The other god hand have like obtained like a human form, even though we haven't really seen like caught up with them yet. But we know that like the whole entire world itself has kind of like merged with this darkness to create this little area of light. So it's kind of like
he's molding the world in his image of what he thinks it should be almost.
But at the same time, while molding this singular location, the rest of the world has kind of suffered because of it. So it's kind of like, is it better to have a world where there's a safe haven, but all this darkness amplifies at the same time?
Well, and it's like one of those things where you see him at the forefront taking responsibility and credit and all this stuff for, all these good things for the people on the inside are happening. They see it happening and they go, oh, Griffith, it's all because of Griffith. He's so great. But at the same time, what we don't see is he even taking responsibility for all those people not within that inner circle that are, like Spook said, they're like the world's kind of in a dark spot right now. And we don't really see him acknowledging that too much or thinking about it. Like that's human nature, is you like to take credit for the good things that are happening. And then it's almost like that's all he wants to really focus on.
Yeah, and then all the bad things
maybe I
are
need
someone
to reread
else's
it.
fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea upon it. I've never really thought of it that way, and I imagine, hopefully, if we get more chapters soon, they'll continue
I need to
expound
reread it.
upon
I haven't read it in so long.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to remember these like ideas and stuff I'm talking about, but like I haven't really read it in so long. It's like,
but it shows how
like
some of it sticks with you even to this day.
It does, dude. It makes you think. It really does.
It's a very impactful story.
Absolutely.
Who says there can't be good literature that's manga?
Yeah, I was going to say, just like we were talking about earlier, this is the one that comes to my mind with manga's literature.
Like that's what it blows my mind when people read like Berserk and they go, "Oh, look, Guts smashed." Like they have like a very they're like, "Oh, yeah, but it's gory, it's edgy, it's there's a guy hitting demons with swords." Like, like that's all I see in it. I'm like, "Oh, there's so much more there though. Look at all the things that the concepts, the ideas, all that's being explored. I don't know. There's so much there. You could sit there for hours just talking about it, I'm sure."
Well, is there anything else you guys want to touch on the new chapter specifically, or would you like to move on to one of the other recent weekly chapters we're keeping up with here? All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to move on then. So,
all right.
Okay. Like I don't have a lot to say on this, but I do have like kind of a complaint that I want to touch upon.
The One Piece cover story?
Oh no, I was actually going to talk about Black Clover.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, let's hear it.
I'll make it pretty short and sweet, but basically, like, I was a couple chapters behind for a while, but I got caught back up, and I have to say, like, I'm not really a huge fan of what they're doing in this latest arc.
Okay.
I like the idea of like exploring other aspects of the world, like the what are they at, the Spade Kingdom now? Is that where they're at, or is it the Diamond? No, it's not the Diamond. It's got to be the Spade.
Spade.
They're fighting the Spade Kingdom.
Yeah.
Then where are they then? Does that mean they're in?
I think they're in the Heart Kingdom, but
Heart
I think
Kingdom. Okay, my bad.
Kingdom.
Got right. Okay, so like this world building of these other locations, I think is super interesting, but I'm really having a hard time grasping like the devil powers in particular. I feel like it's a little bit of it's kind of getting tropey to a large extent when they're just kind of being like, oh, there's all these people possessed by devils. It kind of just makes me think of the Arrancar and Bleach or the Visored specifically. But what really kind of irks me, well, like what really kind of irks me is how they're just like, oh, this is only 30% of my power. I don't know, it just kind of bugs me.
I can see that frustration because like whenever the devil first made his appearance and like you had the entire Clover Kingdom basically rallying together just to try to beat this thing. Like I'm trying to think how to describe him. Like he was one of the I don't know. It was like one of the greatest antagonistic battles. Yeah. One of the greatest climaxes in like recent manga. I don't know. It was really very entertaining to read. And then you get to this point now where they're like, I haven't read the last 2 chapters, but like before that, it's like, oh, this guy just has like a lesser devil, and like that may have been the first the Clover Kingdom had with them, but like everybody else has been having their own that they're trying to gather and utilize and all that. Yeah, I don't know. I see where you're coming from on that a little bit.
Like I definitely feel like they're going to explore on it more and probably like touch upon the things that maybe I dislike about it. I just feel like we need a little more context, and obviously this is going to be a big question answered later, like of how people obtain these devils, right, and like how they get possessed by them. But I think the fact that it really gives them this like huge power boost, like it's just kind of introducing like another level of power creep that always happens with long running shonen. Dragon Ball being the best example of how that can really backfire. So I just feel like the fact that they have they're specifically talking about like, oh, I'm a level mage, or I have I'm using 50%.
I think it's like 0 levels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, numbers, right. So they have like these different levels to like what kind of mage you are now, and there's percentages of power they can tap into. I just feel like it's getting a little bit to the point where it's going to be hard to really like match up people now, because they're either going to have to like really improve to that level, just like all the characters we know, or things are just going to get even further down the line to the point where it's going to be like almost impossible to see where the characters came from in the first place. Because what I liked about Black Clover was how like simple the magic was, and I feel like now it's just kind of gotten out of proportion.
I don't know. That's actually almost one of the things that I had like mixed feelings on with Black Clover in the very beginning. Was a lot of the royals and stuff you saw never really worked on their magic very much. It was all based on natural talent. So like it was cool seeing some of them like change their mindset with that and then start to improve. But like even now, a lot of those that are 0 level or whatever are the ones that have certain rare, I guess you'd call them elements. I don't know, like spatial magic and dark magic in Yami's case, or things like that are just very, very seldom seen. So I don't know. Like I feel like that's always kind of been there a little bit. Like the guy with steel magic, he can advance a little ways, but you put him against the emperor or whatever, the Magic King, whatever. Always forget what he's called. Cause like
I think it's just the Wizard
Magic
King.
Emperor.
Oh, it is the Emperor.
King,
the Wizard King.
I'm gonna call him the Wizard King. So like the Wizard King has freaking time. So like I mean, you put him against Mimosa over there making plants and whatnot. Like she has her utilities with healing and whatnot, but there's no way she'll ever be able to go head to head with somebody that has those upper echelons of magic, I guess you could say. So I don't know. I feel like that's been one of the bigger issues with Black Clover from the get-go, but it's worked out so far. So I'm willing to sit through it and see where it goes.
Yeah, I am too, and I think that one of the things it's doing right now is it's kind of rushing through, because they had the mini time skip where they were training and stuff, and it's sort of trying to, I think, showcase everyone's new powers in each chapter, right?
Yeah.
And
that's pretty fair. I don't know.
And so I think they're going to hopefully show that background of training and sort of what they focused on. They did that a little bit in the previous chapter.
Yeah.
They'll probably just save that for the anime fillers.
Yeah, true.
They'll let them do that.
That's true.
I mean, I definitely like how they've evolved, like the new level they're taking, where like they have to write out like the symbols and everything to like improve their magic, like kind of speaking what they want it to do into existence. I think is a cool concept, but I don't know. I just need to see a little bit more before I'm sold. I've been less interested in what Black Clover's had to offer recently, just because of like those issues. More or less.
And they're kind of rushing it a little bit too. It seems like.
I mean, they might be a little bit, but Black Clover's always been really, really fast paced. Maybe that's just because like I started out trying to read or watch the first couple episodes of the anime, and then like literally everything within those episodes was in the first chapter. But like literally, like I feel like the manga moved so fast; it bounces from thing to thing to thing to thing, and I don't know. It's always been a very, very, very fast paced, very, very tropey in a lot of ways. It's still managed to keep my interest, and I think it's very good. So I don't know. I'm willing to see where they go with it, but I feel like it's almost always had a lot of those issues that you guys are mentioning and touching upon. They might just be like a little bit more noticeable here recently.
Yeah, and I think that I guess my big issue is the lack of background and backstory to this. Because it seemed like once like you said, it is very fast paced, but once it hit the time skip, every chapter is something new. like you said, and it's a little bit jarring. Like, yeah, there were fight skips and stuff like that when they were fighting the big devil, but it was more coherent than it is right now because we had the backstory of why everything was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can say that, but that could also be fixed later, which...
Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
Which, same with my problems, those could even be fixed later, too. I would just say my biggest concern is with this power creep they're introducing right now. Like, because whenever you power creep, there's going to come a point where you need to one-up that again. And then it's like, if the devils themselves right now are kind of like this staple of like, okay, this is the strongest thing we have to deal with, you know, what comes after that? Like, it's just going to keep getting further and further away from like what it used to be. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it can get very outlandish.
Dragon Ball Z. Dragon. Walk the dragon. Dragon Ball. No,
that's pretty impressive. We're gonna get copyright for that?
Maybe.
I hope not, but
I'm sorry.
I guess in terms of complaints, then, if we want to transition over to One Piece.
Yeah, let's hear your cover story.
Well,
I have 0 issues on One Piece ever.
I mean, it's kind of like I've already talked about it on Twitter and stuff like that, so I'll keep it short. Basically, I just kind of think it's upsetting how, like, in the cover story, which if you're not a manga reader for One Piece, basically they, at the start of every chapter, Oda usually does some sort of just like one-off drawing, or he starts a cover story, which is basically where we catch up with other characters in the story and what they're up to right now. Just very short, one-page things of what they're doing, and it goes across like a little mini arc, you could say. And the current one has been focusing on Beji and his wife Chiffon, and basically they are trying to go find Lola, her sister, so that they can meet up right now. And it's gotten to a point where the latest chapter, we just see one of like Big Mom's tart ships or whatever they're called, and on it looks to be Pound, which, if you'll remember, during Whole Cake, Pound was their father, and he made like a sacrifice for the daughter he never got to meet for her to get away. And it's just kind of like a really impactful moment from that arc that, you know, kind of stuck with me. And I feel like showing that, you know, he's alive after that, it just kind of wastes what that moment was supposed to be. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
I literally just went to look at it as you were talking about that, and I do remember that being a very impactful moment. So like, I hope that that's not who it is, but at the same time, One Piece does have a little bit of a history of like not wanting to kill off
certain characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it wouldn't necessarily be unexpected, but yeah, it's kind of like you said and stuff. Whenever a moment has that much of an impact on you, you hate to see it like glossed over like right away. As far as I don't know, whenever you think someone's dead, you almost kind of wish like if it's like that impactful of a moment, like you kind of hope it like stays that way to where that it's like what's his name in Bleach, the Quincy, like he lost his soul or his Quincy powers, right?
Yeah, Udiu.
It's not nearly as impactful because he gets them like right back. So
I just thought it was funny how
like
in the filler arc for Bleach, like not to go off topic, but in the Bount arc, they gave him his powers back again just to get rid of them again before it goes back to the canon story. It's just really stupid.
Right. And see, like, yeah, like it's not nearly as impactful that way compared to like the first time where it's a
big sacrifice,
major moment, and it's the big sacrifice where he decides like, yeah, like I know I'll never be able to use these powers again, but like I really like this moment is that important. Like I don't know, like it kind of takes the seriousness away from those type of moments. So I feel you on that.
And I think especially with deaths, as an audience, we're invested in these characters, right? Even a side character for an arc that's not. You know, it's not like he's part of the main gang, but he sacrifices himself, and so we as an audience grieve for that character death.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes those are the most impactful characters, all right?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm talking about Senior Pink, so like,
and that's why
Senior Pink hit me hard, all right?
It just feels like, you know, wasting what they originally sacrificed themselves for just to be like, oh yeah, they're fine.
And I think psychologically that frustration is like, we grieved, we accepted the loss of this character, and now they're back all of a sudden. Yep. So, like, all our time and energy and emotions were wasted in that moment.
Yeah. Big facts. Just something frustrating.
But
had to talk about it.
No. One Piece definitely, like, isn't perfect. I could criticize it if I tried. But at the end of the day, I do trust in Oda. So, let's cross our fingers. And, I don't know, hope it's not done too poorly or executed too poorly. Yeah. Like I remember getting a little bit worried when I saw that Big Mom had amnesia there. But, like, at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? It's Oda. I'm gonna trust in it. Or, like whenever time travel was introduced, and he handled that really well. Like you know, it's one direction. Like they didn't necessarily travel through time. They literally just kind of
jumped into the future,
jumped into a future point in time, and they can't go back. Yeah. So like it's handled really well. But like whenever you hear those initial things, that can be a little bit worrying. So. At the end of the day, I trust in you, Oda.
Yeah, I do too.
I trust in you.
I mean, obviously, like, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world to see the man, like, actually get to meet his daughters and whatnot. I just upset with they gave him this huge moment just to take that away. I don't know.
No, I feel you.
Well, I'm not sure if we have anything else to say on the latest chapter of One Piece, but
No,
if
I sure
not,
I haven't read it. I'm
oh,
two
did you say
chapters
you sure
behind,
do or you
honestly.
sure don't?
Sure, do not.
Okay, well then we can just move straight into kind of like the outlier or the supreme chapter of this week, which was My Hero
Oh.
Academia. I mean,
That's right. I
we finally
forgot about
got
that completely.
Shigaraki waking up.
Oh, man.
And we finally got the information of what they're trying to do with him. Like, we
Yep.
kind of had an idea, but now we know, like, the full, like, actual details behind it. And I say they did it, like, they brought that forth really well. Because you know he's going to be the successor to All for One this whole time, but you don't really know
Yeah.
how that's going to happen. And now we finally know that the Doctor has the ability to duplicate quirks through his research. So the actual power of All for One is now going to Shigaraki, while All for One has, like, a copy of his original power. And I just feel like the start of this, like, little arc about raiding this hospital has become about, like, oh, this is the day that heroes disappeared.
I'm definitely excited to see what the aftermath of this is. Like, this would be a great time to do time skip or something after this, I feel like, if they wanted to.
I feel like I don't know
maybe
what to
not.
expect. Like, I don't know
Have like
how.
a
I really
Shippuden
don't either.
almost.
Yeah, like, I don't know how huge of an event this is going to end up being, but like,
It
it's made out
seems
to be
huge to
like,
me, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Or the best type of One Piece where they're like, all right, now we got to do something 2 years later. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not, but I could see it.
I think Shigaraki's whole arc has been really, really well done. I was early on. I was
he's-
very critical of him, and I didn't think he was the greatest character. I just wanted his backstory, and now that I've gotten it, I am fully bought in to Shigaraki as a villain.
For sure.
Fully sympathetic to him, which I think is the best kind of villains that you can have.
I think
Agree 100%. Like, no, go ahead.
I think it's also kind of interesting how he started out just being like, you know, just wants to destroy for the sake of it. And over the course of his journey, he's kind of like figured out exactly why he wants to do that and like
Yep.
what he's going to do to achieve it. Because like before, it's just they introduce him as the villain and he himself doesn't even know what he wants to do yet. And I think it's an interesting
He's
concept
just
to
a
show them
gamer.
like, yeah, it's an interesting concept to show them like, to show him find that inspiration. Yeah, it's just been a really great journey.
That's one of my favorite. I'm honestly like a huge My Hero Academia fanboy, right?
Yeah.
So like I probably gush about the series a little bit more than most people, and probably more than I should. But like literally, whenever I made a video talking about why you should watch My Hero Academia, it was literally one of the main things I talked about in that video was just like how some of the villains might seem so simple and basic at first. Like they're like, all right, you guys heroes, we villains, we fight. Like that. Like that's literally what
Yeah.
it seemed like when I watched or season 1. Was not very impressed. But it's like you said, Shigaraki at the very start is a frustrated kid who's mad at the world. He doesn't really know how to channel that frustration or what it's all even really about. But like, there's so many societal aspects of that My Hero Academia explores, like issues with their society.
Yeah, and
We
especially
get to
with
see
Stain.
more, get to see more nuanced and polarizing characters like Stain and stuff
Oh my
explored, and throughout the entire journey and stuff. As Deku grows and starts to see the world in a more broad spectrum, so does Shigaraki, and I don't know. I love that entire like approach to it all, where this villain that we saw who wasn't the best villain in season 1 has kind of grown also throughout the entire series. Like the chapters that focus on the villains in the series have been some of my all-time favorites.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely agree.
honestly, my second favorite villains in Shonen compared to behind only like Hunter x Hunter is overall. If I had to say, I don't know, that's probably like a bit of an overstatement because you do have like Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho and JoJo's
Yeah.
and all that out there, but I don't know.
But yeah, I think you're right, especially the Villain League arc where it was just focused on them. I don't remember the specific title.
My
they had
Villain
when they went
Academia.
against. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, it's called My Villain Academia.
And I thought that was so good because even with, is it Double or
Twice.
Split? Twice. There we go.
Twice.
Yeah, his whole story was phenomenally done. That is one of my favorite anime story arcs
F in
or
the
character
chat.
arcs.
Dude, I freaking love Twice. And
Uh-huh.
like, it's one of those things where they introduce so many villains at once whenever like Stain's influence spread.
Yeah,
You suddenly had Dobby, you suddenly had Toga, you suddenly had Spinner and Twice and all those dudes, and they all just seemed kind of generic at first, but then we just learned more and more about some of them throughout. They've gotten their own arcs. Toga and Twice were a lot more endearing. We're still learning about Dobby, but there's still like a lot of stuff being set up with Spinner about like how he doesn't even really like, he idolized Stain. Like he wasn't even he was like the nerdy otaku kid that was made fun of because he looks like a lizard.
Yep.
So like he didn't really get along well with society, and he sees a lot wrong with it like Stain did. And now he's kind of questioning like, why am I here with, like, why am I following Shigaraki? Like I don't even really know anymore. So like he might betray the League of Villains at some point. Like we don't know. Like there's so much, all these individual motivations going on, and you just got love to see it.
Yeah, and I think Stain is for sure, as of right now, on probably my top 10, top 5 list of villains in any form of media.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they're up there. But you know who, I was watching season 4, and you know who grew on me so much that I did not think they would?
Is it Gentle?
The freaking Gentle, dude. I freaking love Gentle.
Gentle's
I like
the
Gentle.
bomb.
I like Gentle a lot.
He's the bomb, dude. And like, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, I gush too much about My Hero Academia. Like, I really do love it. But
Yeah,
it's funny because like whenever he was first introduced, I thought All for One was like the most intimidating villain of all time. The music they had playing whenever he was introduced in the anime, and his fight with All Might giving me chills the first time I read it. But like honestly, if I look at most of the villains in My Hero Academia, like he's like my least favorite right now, like one of them.
I think we just
Like,
need to
just
learn
compared to
more
all the
about
other
him.
great ones.
Because like we have this whole
That's what
like
I'm saying.
side of history that we don't know about. Like we've only been briefly introduced to like what history used to be like in My Hero Academia. Like when quirks started developing, you know, society had to get used to it, and then there's this man on top of it all trying to like just conquer it in a way. But we don't. But that we only have like the base general example of what that was. We don't know the specifics yet, and I feel like that could give his character a lot more depth that we haven't got to see yet, because he is kind of bland. But that's probably just because we don't know a lot about him.
I feel like I worded that wrong, because I do love him. Like I said, I love like a lot of the villains in it. I just feel like he's one of the ones that we haven't explored the most, like you just said. But as far as what we've seen so far, the fact that he did most of what he did with raising Shigaraki just to be that salty against All Might, the entire motivation behind that was like Broly being mad at Goku because he cried levels like that. Like the level of saltiness behind that, like that blew my mind, and I was on board. Like I was like, oh man, like this man's petty and I love it.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I love what I've seen so far of him, but yeah, like you said, we haven't really explored him a ton. So
I don't want to.
I was just.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying, like, I was more so trying to praise all the other villains and how much they've grown on me, more so than I was putting him down. But
yeah, and I want to say this in a way that won't spoil it for you, Jordan, because I think you're going to be really surprised by this when it happens. Because this is the most recent one. But I was really shocked with who all was with Shigaraki when he woke up and was having his little flashback.
I mean, you can spoil it for me if you want, because I'll literally probably read it this weekend, and it's one of those things where I read it every week, but I don't know. I have heard a lot of good things about this chapter.
I know, but this is...
I don't know. Spoilers don't really bother me, but...
It's kind of a big surprise, though, and I kind of want you to get it on your own.
No, I appreciate that.
I just think it's one that's really, like, not expected.
Dude, I'm trying to be the Shonen Jump guy, but like, between work every week and then working on videos, like I edited... like pulled an all-nighter last week editing, and then I've been trying to do like 100 hours a month on Twitch too. So like, literally every series we talked about, be it Black Clover, One Piece, My Hero Academia, I'm literally 2 chapters behind on all the. It's like exactly 2 chapters on all 3 of those.
Yeah, and I think
so sad.
And One Piece has had its sort of weekly hiatuses too, so it's like had its 14-day gaps each time. So.
Oh yeah, that's what it says. Golden Week and stuff. I still didn't get caught up. I was like, man, I'm struggling. Like, there's so many series.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, like you said, some of the best manga and anime that I've seen is in Shonen Jump. And I don't think it gets enough credit. Because I think there's still, for a lot of people, I think there's kind of a kiddie connotation for Shonen Jump.
In a way, like I can see kind of where that comes from. Because they do almost like to keep that same, I don't know, like the editors and stuff kind of know what sells. So they try to almost kind of push that in times where I wish they wouldn't.
Sure.
And I don't know, like, it's weird because, like, Weekly Shonen Magazine and Shonen Jump have kind of gone back and forth over the years. So, like, some of my favorite manga artists might not be as popular, but they're from some of the series that, like, I really like Domestic Girlfriend or Major or Hajime no Ippo even. Like, all those are from, like, Weekly Shonen Magazine right now. Like, they're not in Jump. So, like, those two have been kind of going back and forth. And with so many, like, freaking top tier series being put out in Weekly Shonen Magazine, and some of the recent things I've seen put into Jump with all the big flagship series ending, I don't know, dude. It might flip around here soon. Like, I don't think it will with all the... I mean, the fact that Naruto and Bleach and stuff are still really relevant.
Yeah.
Like,
I could definitely see that mindset changing a little bit, for sure. And I think...
I just know those two went back and forth a lot.
Yeah,
in the
and
past.
I think if you look at, like you said, some of the ones that are taking the place of the big threes, they're a little bit more... edgy is such a goofy word for it, but, like, they're a little bit more...
Mature.
They have a little more adult moments. Yeah, mature.
Like, okay, let me give an example of, like, what I don't like about recent Shonen Jump,
Okay.
right? So, like, it'll be a little bit of a spoiler of what I don't like about one of the newest series.
Okay.
Called Bone Collection. So, like, it introduced, like, kind of a generic world. It's kind of, like, something I'm kind of biased against, but it still really sold me on the first chapter, right? And, like, I said that when I made a video 4 hours after the first chapter came out, and I was just kind of giving my first thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get Bone Collection pulled up. I'm, like, having trouble finding it. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was. But basically, the second chapter wasn't bad. And then literally in the last couple pages, all right, his brother is in, like, this profession that he wants to be in. He's, like, one of the top guys. And he sees him doing something that he's not supposed to do. So you think it's going to be, like, this whole big thing, and you see it progressing. And literally, the last 2 pages, the girl literally just rips off the brother's clothes. He's wearing, like, a girl's swimsuit underneath. And then after that, like, he's basically... her slave doing everything she says. So, like, instead of, like, him getting onto him and blackmailing him, turning him into the authorities, like, she literally just rips it off, like, rips off his clothes, sees that he's wearing, like, a school swimsuit or something, like, she could tell.
Yeah.
And then, like, because of that, he's, like, blackmailed into, oh, yeah, okay, everything's fine now. My pleasure, I'll give you a massage, back rub, or whatever. I'll bow down to you, my master. And that's the twist in the last 2 pages. And, like, that disappointed me so freaking hard. I don't know. I don't know if, like, they're trying to push, like, a whole gag thing in, like, all the Jump manga, or because it didn't seem like a gag manga up till that point. But, like, I don't know. Like, imagine Bleach, like, that being the resolution of chapter 2 or something. Like Ichigo's dad's onto him or something, and they literally just rip off his clothes, and he's wearing, like, a girl's school swimsuit or something. Like, I don't know. Like,
well, I feel like
that's the twist.
I mean, at the same time, though, like, while you're definitely right where a lot of the new manga being introduced are kind of, stale in a way, I feel like Shonen Jump has also kind of matured with a lot of its other series, too. Like, it's definitely... they've been trying new things that are a lot, like, darker from what they're used to. Because, like, look at, like, Chainsaw Man and Promise Neverland, for instance. Like, imagine showing that to somebody and being like, oh, yeah, this isn't Shonen Jump. Most people probably wouldn't notice that right off the bat, because it doesn't really feel like a shonen series at first, at least.
I love all those series. I love Act Age. I love Chainsaw Man. I love Promise Neverland. And, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, although I know a lot of people love it, and that's a little bit darker. But all those came out around the same time. And then Gintama ended, right? Like, Gintama ended, and, like, since then, every series that comes out has been either gag manga or, like, they wanted to try to be, like, have a lot of gags in it. And I don't know what it is with, like, a lot of them just aren't hitting home for me. I don't know. Like, this seemed like more of a serious series, is why I say that.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Until, like, the end of that second chapter, I'm like, that happens. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that's the way they choose to take it. Like, I don't know. It completely destroyed my immersion. Like, it destroyed my hopes and dreams for the series. Like, I'm almost like, I just want to write it off after 2 chapters. I never do that, but I don't know. I've just never seen such, like, a big dramatic tone shift that quick. 23 chapters and it's fine, and then page 24, 25, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where Jump goes, especially with, the next couple years, One Piece is going to be ending. They're going to need a new flagship series, which My Hero Academia, depending on how long that ends up running, will probably end up taking that place unless something else comes along. Because I can't see, like, Black Clover or any of the other series in Jump right now taking that. And plus, series in Jump are also kind of, like, ending when they're intended to these days, which is kind of weird. Which is good.
Yeah. Rather than them dragging it out.
I love that they're doing it, is the thing. Like, that's not a complaint for me. It's more just, like, it seems, like, very unlike what they're used to for Jump. Because usually they're super into, like, pressuring them to go as long as possible so they can really capitalize and make a lot of money on it. Because obviously they don't want to have something end that's making them a lot of money. But it's just also interesting to see them introduce more concepts that are kind of seinen-ish rather than just straight up shonen. Because, like, honestly, I feel like a lot of that is because they passed up on Attack on Titan, and look at how successful that became in a different magazine.
Well, and one of their, I know it's still shonen, but one of the biggest hits in Jump of all time is Death Note. Like,
True.
I mean,
true.
There's an audience there.
Yeah, I think they're just starting to learn from their mistakes, more or less. because like they basically got the one shot for Attack on Titan, and they're like, hey, this is good, but we need to make it, you know, not as like
kid friendly.
Yeah, we need to make it a little more kid friendly, basically. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I think they're learning from the fact that they could have had something super successful if they would have just given in to the author's like original vision instead of trying to change everything.
I don't know. I agree on some level, but there's actually something I read earlier today on Twitter. Ooh. It sounded great, but then like I started to think about it. Let's see if I can find this tweet right here. All right, it says Jump has created the Shonen Jump School, a course in which aspiring mangaka will be able to learn stuff directly from like Shonen Jump editors and even famous mangaka, such as yada yada yada. But like as great as that is, like you're like great, like all this young talent could kind of learn from editors and other authors and stuff. In a way, it almost feels like they're molding these young writers that would just come in with original ideas and stuff. Like, all right, this is. Like, I really hope they're not doing it to where like, all right, this is the Jump formula. You need to make it more like this. I hope it doesn't destroy a lot of Jump's originality. Like, I could see that backfiring.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But you could. There's always that positive thing where someone has the inherent motivation of the story they want to tell, but they want some help with the formatting or how to make it like more publishable. Not necessarily like clean it up, but clean up grammar mistakes and spacing and formatting and stuff like that.
Become better artists, drawers, storytellers.
Yeah, I wish I was optimistic because like I definitely see that there could be a lot of positives and stuff there. I just know like with the corporate landscape, they're trying to like they know what sells, and I just hope they're not trying to push that too hard. And I hope there's not like great stories that could be good just ruined from it because I know this happened before in the past.
Yeah.
Like I feel like stories like Bleach and stuff would have been a lot better had they like not forced the author to keep going with it, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm really happy that like they're actually letting Demon Slayer in whenever they want it to or whatever, things like
Promise
that.
Neverland.
And the Promised Neverland. Those are two series that if they tried to keep dragging it on, they'd probably fall off a cliff. Like, it's one of those things where they kind of had a goal from the outset. So if you try to push past that, it's gonna decline.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess Brandon, before you left, I wanted to ask. I said this in a very non-spoilery way because I thought it was kind of a big reveal.
Mm-hmm.
But in My Hero, what did you think of all the people grabbing onto Shigaraki towards the end?
Like, what did I
the specific
feel about
one
that
I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Are you talking about Nana in particular?
Yeah. well,
like we're talking about spoilers in the latest chapter, so I don't feel like it's gonna be like huge for people who are listening to this segment. I imagine they're caught up at this point. But I feel like it is kind of weird in a way if it's like symbolizing that they're like pushing him into this or if they're trying to hold him back. Because I guess obviously it kind of seems like his family in particular are trying to like hold him and stop him from going into like this darkness. But with her in particular, it almost kind of felt like she was leading him. Like it didn't feel like she was like, I don't know, maybe it's just the way it was drawn that I was getting that impression. But
I mean, she was a hero and her family were all about anything but heroes because of her. So I mean, if they're pulling her in one direction and stuff, I could see her pushing him in the other. So like they're very contrasting opinions on what you should do with your life. But as far as which direction they're pushing him, I haven't read it myself, but that sounds a little confusing. But
well, what did you think of it then,
I don't know.
Evan?
I haven't read the last two chapters. I'm behind. But
I mean, so I guess my thing was I feel like there has to be some sort of link with her and Deku because he's immediately in the next panel.
Oh, okay? I see what you're saying. So you feel
maybe.
like maybe since he's getting these visions in particular from
her,
like like from other members of who held One for All.
One for All.
And since she's supposed to be like the next power he's going to develop according to All Might, that you're right. That could actually be like a huge connection. Like maybe she could like branch some sort of connection between the two.
Yeah, and then because then in the end again, Deku says he's coming. And he's like way out, not even close to where Shigaraki is.
I missed that. I didn't really put two and two together. That's a good point.
That's why I was confused because I'd known she had been the next power that Deku's going to develop, right? And so I was like, why is she talking to Shigaraki? Like, why is she in that situation?
Oh, that's super interesting.
I have nothing of value to add to this conversation.
Wow. I wonder, man, I'm just kind of like processing all this now because now I'm seeing like this other side I didn't notice the first time.
So, I mean, I think we're going to get our answer in the next chapter or the next few chapters. But it's like, I don't know if she's almost a cognizant spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, she could tell him or give him a vision of this or what's going to happen.
Well, I feel like she must be in some aspect because I feel like it's kind of implying that One for All like leaves a part of their consciousness with it, like it becomes absorbed into it, because we saw like the first user of One for All actually like interacting with Deku and showing him all like the past and like telling him, you know, giving him information. I feel like it's probably going to be the same concept with every other member. So
yeah, but it you know, it also almost leads to the question where they're still aware of what's going on, at least if Nana can see Shigaraki or has some connection there, right? Like, so Shigaraki and Deku are clearly foils for each other. Like you said earlier, Jordan, like they're both growing and changing throughout the series.
They're both developing a wider lens on how they view the world and what's shaping their own beliefs and goals and drives.
Yeah, and I think eventually that'll lead to a really strong clash of philosophies, which I think is going to be very compelling. But there are all these sort of, maybe this could be one of the hints towards a link between them in some way, because obviously, like, One for All and All for One, that's a saying, they go together.
Yeah.
And the quirks were developed similarly, right? Like,
yeah, they were kind of like meant to foil each other if you think about it. Like, like they each represent the ideals of the brother basically that had it.
Yep.
So it's now that Shigaraki's gonna have All for One, it's gonna be, you know, the same kind of concept, but, you know, years later.
All for one, one for all. Oh no. So basically, what you guys are saying is there's ghosts in this chapter. Oh my god,
mean,
that sounds
to
scary.
an extent.
It's something. It's a little spooky, you could say.
It's turning into Bleach. Is what it is.
Well, I guess now that we've been going for a while, I think it's art activity time, boys.
That's
finish her
my
off.
favorite time. So if you guys don't know, I created some art for you guys to enjoy, and also work together to figure out who these characters are. They're pretty well known, and because I know you, Jordan, are a big shonen fan, you know a lot about the genre and about the various places. That's where I drew a lot of my inspiration from, okay?
It's all right. I don't know much.
Jordan, I need your help. Okay, we're working together, please.
You'll see. You guys are working together, so it's similarly to your activity, Jordan.
It's like Apex all over again. Put me on your back, Spooks. We got this.
Oh, Jordan, please.
Me and
You get
Spooky dude,
half
Jordan
a point.
Spooks, 100 years. 100 years, Jordan Spook. Okay. I'm ready.
You get half a point for the series and a full point for the name, okay?
All right.
So,
All right,
Brandon, if you'll do the honors and pull up the first one here.
All right, first answer. I'm sorry, not answer. First.
No, it's not the answer.
Yeah, first drawing on stream. Oh boy. All right, here's the thing, Jordan.
Wait, is this from like Shonen Jump manga or?
They're all apparently from Shonen Jump.
They are all from Shonen Jump, yes.
So we have to work together. I think we each get a guess in terms of series and name, correct? But like,
yep, and
those
I'll
apply together?
The points all go together.
All right, so Jordan,
All right.
what are you thinking in terms of
So-
series right now?
Initially, I thought there was a panda in Jujutsu Kaisen, but I know that that's not really a panda. That's probably some like lesser known character from another series. But yeah, it kind of it reminds me of a panda a little bit. So like that was my first thought, but I don't think it is.
I mean,
Looks like some type of monster being.
when I think of pandas,
don't
for
know.
some reason, I kind of think of Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know if that's correct. So I don't necessarily want to say it's my guess, but
So feel free to play along in the chat. I don't want you two to look at the chat, but
I will definitely not look at the chat for this one. I don't know. I
Alright,
think I'm going to go with Yu-Gi-Oh for my guess in terms of the series. I don't know what you think here, Jordan.
I'm honestly not sure. That looks like some type of demon thing that I don't know. That looks demonic in a way. I'm gonna go with Bleach.
okay, so Yu-Gi-Oh! And
I'm gonna
Bleach.
go with Bleach.
All right, and then name guesses.
All right, I'm just going to go with...
Panda Man.
okay,
I don't know.
we got one for Panda Man. I'm going to
Panda
go with...
Man.
I'm just going to go with generic Evil Panda. Evil Panda.
Ooh.
Wait. Should I change my name to? Should I just change to like Hollow Z or something like Hollow H? Like just a random Hollow. Like that's what
I don't know, a lot of the
I'm gonna go with
hollows have
Panda Man.
actual
Screw it.
names, believe it or not.
You guys are so close.
I'm gonna go with Panda Man. Screw it. I'm not like screw
It's-
going for.
What
I'm
the
going for
hell
whole
is
point.
this?
It's
going for half a
the
point.
hit character Giant Panda from Naruto.
Oh my god. Giant... Oh.
What episode is that? A filler? That has to be a filler.
No, it's canon. It's canon.
What episode?
Uh-huh.
What
Like,
episode?
I'll
what
look it
arc
up
did
for
this
that?
you.
occur in?
I don't remember. I don't remember
chapter?
off the dome, but
What chapter?
Oh my
Look at
god.
him.
Like a.
that's Giant Panda.
Frick, dude. Call me a Naruto
I don't know how you
fan,
guys
I
didn't
guess
get
not.
that.
Is that a panda?
His name is Giant Panda.
Damn it!
Told you it was a panda
I
spoof.
was an evil panda.
So-
I just didn't know it from.
We have 0 points on the board.
I mean, realistically, we were kind of close, but not really. All right.
You guys were
Number
close.
2. Oh boy. I
Is that
do
from?
not know. What do you think,
Is that
Jordan?
like a seven? No, it's not. Like, I was thinking like there's a dog in Seven Deadly Sins, but that looks way
I'm trying
different.
to think. Like the collar is very detailed, and there's these obvious markings on the face that's leading me to believe
Yeah.
this has got to be something I might know.
It's Shonen, you said?
I mean,
Yep.
I'm
Yes.
gonna go ahead and say, I know this probably isn't right, but when it comes to anime dogs, I'm gonna go with, what is it, Chocho or Shosho from One Piece?
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go with.
All right. Jordan, what do you got for us?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. 'Cause, you know, it doesn't look like it's from anything I recognize. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say Seven Deadly Sins because I know it has dogs in it.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say it's Bon in like dog form or something.
Bon
I
in
don't
dog
think that
form.
makes sense.
Okay.
I don't even think that makes sense, but like not Bond, but like who's that? Oh no, never mind. I'm thinking of like the guy that looked like Bond. That okay, yeah, that's not it. I don't.
Oh,
Even,
it's from
I don't
Black
have a name.
Clover.
It's from Black Clover.
It's the dog
Nunnally
of the. Oh,
from the
okay.
Agrippa house.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
also,
Oh.
the giant panda was summoned by Pain in chapter 377.
Oh my god, it
Oh,
was
that's
one of
stupid.
his animals, bro. Oh my god.
Oh, that's so stupid.
Dang.
Look at those.
That's not a that's a
We're
that's a pretty
struggling,
good
Spooks.
drawing for that though. I like
That
the
is-
shading.
Thank
and
you.
everything,
It was
too.
not easy.
I like the collar.
Dang.
you.
So its name is Nunnally.
Look at him. Nunnally.
Oh.
Agrippa.
Okay. Damn it. All right. So this is the
Yeah,
one
not a-
right here that I am very
Now,
confident
this
that
is
I
a
know.
cake one. This is a cake walk, guys.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is Slide and Go, the hit
Look at that
hero from
Chad.
My Hero Academia. I'm
All
just
right,
saying
Jordan,
it right
do you
off
have
the
a
bat,
guess?
Jordan.
I would have guessed My Hero Academia, but
Okay.
I don't have a name for him.
Well,
It's probably not though, just because I feel like that'd be too obvious.
yeah,
But,
Uh,
but you know, if you guess My Hero Academia, I'm gonna guess something else.
Well,
Spooks,
oh,
right?
okay.
Just so
Okay.
we're working
yeah,
together.
we are
right?
working
Ooh, new
together.
strategy.
So, so help us out, Jordan. What do we got here?
Looks like something from like a Disney film. I don't know. I'm trying to run through all the shonen in my head. Literally looks like something from a Disney film.
that's kind of. It's like a stupid looking Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. Oh man, what could this be from?
He's a Chad. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm fairly confident I got the right answer.
That
So
looks-
if you
You know what?
if you have no clue, like I got us, dude.
Is it Mineta from My Hero
We'll
Academia?
tag out and say it is Slide and
Adult
Go
Mineta.
from My Hero
My
Academia.
Hero, yes, Slide and Go.
Look at him.
Oh, I knew the exact image.
Oh, he was a newer.
This
character.
was the
Didn't
exact
he-
image.
Wait, no, did he die right away, or no? Is he like a newer?
Well,
hero?
I mean, like he was part of the.
Ooh, look at that
teams that
PNG.
chased down
That's pretty
Shigaraki
good.
whenever he was in season 4.
He was
or-
part of the like I forget their name, but it's like where Redestro, the organization he leads.
Oh, yeah,
He's
the
like a-
Liberation.
Yeah, the Liberation Army. He's one of the undercover heroes that like vibes with their ideology, so he's kind of like on their side. But he's
So
ridiculous.
That makes sense.
I'll say
I don't know why I'm thinking of that sand guy. I think that like died whenever they were trying to transport Overhaul, and it probably looks nothing like that. But like in my mind, like they're probably similar. That makes no sense. But
There he is. So that's Slide and Go. We're on to
Hell
number
yeah!
4.
That makes
All right,
sense.
we got 1.5 points. Woo!
good job. Way to carry.
Woo! All right.
We better do better in the Apex.
Oh
tournament.
boy. All right.
Isn't he from
I
like
have a
that
guess.
American Dragon? Jake Long.
I have a
or-
guess. Now that I'm looking at it in like full view,
What do you...
my guess is going to be Master Shen from Dragon Ball Z. If it's not him, I'm so clueless. Cause like I'm not even
Okay.
confident about that answer. That's just the one that comes to mind.
Pink clothes is what's kind of throwing me off because I don't remember anybody from Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball wearing
Yeah.
like, that bright.
It's
pink.
more just the sunglasses and the mustache that are like giving me that vibe.
Yeah. Like that
But like
cartoonish
I don't know that
way on the lips too is kind of a Kira Toriyama.
that hair is kind of whack too.
So the-
Is that
Or is it a
hair or
hat?
that
I don't
like a
know.
hat?
'Cause, like, I feel like Shen
It
has
is a
hair
hat.
coming out the back of
It's
his
a
head.
hat.
So
It is a hat.
It's a
okay.
very obscure character. This is a pretty tough
I
one.
could see
Oh,
in that
damn
being.
it.
I could see in that. It does look kind of a Kira Toriyama-esque. Now that you mentioned the lips and stuff, but if it's not him, what other series would have
the swell fellow like this.
have the lips like that? I'm trying to think. Like Akira Toriyama is the only one that does those like big lips.
Goofy
on people.
lips, yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. It's a very tough one. Folks, if you're saying from Dragon Ball. I'm gonna go ahead and say something different, and I don't even know. It's hard.
I will say it's pretty well known.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Naruto.
Okay, and character name.
Series. Oh, I have to say a character name?
Uh-huh.
Man, maybe that's like an older version of... We've already seen all the characters grown up, so I guess I can't say that.
I'm still full sending Master Shin. I have no clue.
Iruka Sensei from Naruto. And some type of epilogue. Full send.
Oh, boy.
All right. So, you got very saved by Jordan there, because he is from Naruto.
No way! Oh my god, Jordan, you legend. You got us.
Yeah, I don't know. I see the actual picture now. I still don't know, like, where in Naruto
his name is
That's Genie.
Genie?
That's Genie.
What the hell?
From what?
Where's
he from?
The hit OVA.
Oh.
Naruto, the Genie and the Three Wishes. Believe it.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
All right, well...
Dude, like, I was trying to think, like, Kishimoto's the only other artist I could think of that might have, like, drawn the lips like that. Like, I was trying to narrow it down.
So
I
we
forgot to color in his sideburns, too. My bad.
All good. So we got another half point, putting us at 2 points.
You're up to 2 points.
Wow.
The blue lips kind of threw me off. I almost said JoJo's because I saw those lips being blue.
Uh-huh.
And the pink colors. I was so close to saying JoJo's, but I decided against it.
Dang, son.
All right,
All
and
right,
last
final...
but not least, this might be the second easiest one in here.
The second easiest, huh? Oh my god.
I would say.
Oh, is that from like a video game with like the little people?
No, this 100% is a
people?
canon character in this anime/manga.
All right, I'm thinking hard, okay? I'm thinking hard. Guy's got a nice stylish hat. Well dressed. All right.
Probably not a very major character, but
I'm going to say that this fella right here is from...
he's in Black Clover.
Okay, no, that's your answer. That I like it. All right. I was going to say Bleach. So we got two different series here. And as for his name, I'm going to call him Office Worker number 17.
You know, he kind of looks like a Jeff to me. I'm going to go with Jeff.
Jeff it is.
Ooh.
Jeff from Black Clover.
All right, so I kind of just have to give you half a point because I don't know his name.
Oh. Okay.
But
what?
It's a
Oh,
Tontata
Oh!
from One Piece.
Oh, good. I almost did say One Piece. I thought really hard about it.
One Piece is so vast.
That's pretty...
So many characters. Probably should have.
So,
Look at him.
It's this
He's on the far left.
This fella right here.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Look.
Oh
wow.
my god. It's so hard.
I like how you
He's
completed
canon.
the other half of his face for
that
us.
sharp nose, I should have saw it. But,
Man, I did consider One Piece. No joke.
That was the art. I thought you would get that art
I did
style.
too.
I was like
I have
considering
considered
a
One
lot.
Piece on every single one of
I
these.
don't, for some reason, even though I haven't seen this series, like just seeing the eyes in particular kind of made me think of like Hitman Reborn or whatever it's called. Because like I see that one like chibi looking character all the time, and like I kind of got that vibe. But I know that wouldn't be it, so I was trying to think outside the box.
I want to point out how good my hand is for that.
Oh.
I've never been an artist in any facet, if you can believe that, but I'm pretty proud of that hand I drew for this guy.
Oh, you did a great
that's
job.
pretty good.
He's really,
You did.
you know, the Arthur gripping fist meme.
Pretty much on point.
He's ticked against Don Quixote.
Wow.
Don Flamingo.
Let me
Wow.
see if I can pick up or pull up what I like initially thought of. Like,
Yeah, let's see it.
we can carry on with the game. But, like,
That was it.
That was the
end.
last one. So we have
I mean,
2.5 points technically.
2.5 points.
Dang. Well, he's not an office worker though, and his name's definitely not Jeff, unless it is.
Yeah, but I can't say his name. I can't say his name isn't Jeff
Fuck. Okay.
because I don't know its name.
Damn. Well, god dang, boys. I mean, 2.5 points. I think that's pretty good. We got literally. I mean, we could have got what?
You got a third of the points.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's pretty
I'm
good.
content with that, Jordan.
33%.
1/3. I'll high five you. Smack the mic real quick.
33% is almost half of passing.
Hell yeah. That's like an F. I like it.
That's
F in the chat. Well, gosh darn diddly dang do. That was quite a fun episode, boys. I have to say, Jordan, the anime dude, I appreciate you coming on and being our guest today, playing these games with us, coming up with one yourself. It was a beautiful time.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Lots-
Yeah,
It
thank
was
you.
a blast.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I had a ton of fun talking with you, and I want to tell everyone in the chat to go subscribe to the Anime Dude on YouTube because he is currently 50 subs away from 10,000.
Hell yeah.
Aw.
So
Thank you, sir. Oh, that's exciting. 50? Really?
50.
Oh, we're getting close.
5-0. Yeah, dude.
Well, anyways, Jordan, coming up on 10K, is there anything you want to plug / what any plans you got going on?
Man, I don't know. I've been working on a few different top 10 videos for the 10,000 subscriber milestone. I don't know when I'll actually get those out, but youtube.com/theanimedude, Twitter @theanimedude, Twitch @theanimedude YT. I don't know. Everything's pretty consistent. So I mean, if you're gonna be able to find me, it's pretty easy. So
Hell yeah.
not much really to plug. If you want to see me and Spooky here dominate at Apex, boys, follow us both on Twitch.
Hell yeah.
Twitch.tv/2spookster as well.
Ooh. You're
Well,
really good at plugging for us. I appreciate it.
And now that we're coming to the end, remember, if you're listening on YouTube, you can follow us over on Twitch at American_Sushi. Also, it's going to be on Spotify soon, so you can now listen to these podcasts, on a different platform if streaming services for music are more your style. I'm not sure if there's anything else
and
we got
follow
to
us
throw
on
out there.
Twitter.
Oh, yes.
Sushi_podcast.
I think it's just Sushi Podcast. I don't don't think there's an
Oh, is
underscore.
it?
At
See,
Sushi
we should have
Podcast
Jordan
on Twitter.
do it for us.
Yeah, Jordan
You'll
would
get it
have
down
had it for us.
eventually.
But whose turn is it to leave with a super cool question?
Oh, it's my turn to lead with a question. So my question for all of you in the chat and in the comments section is, who would be your least favorite body pillow to have?
Wow. Okay, I'm
Least
super anticipating these
least
answers
favorite?
in the comments. Please.
Least favorite, yeah.
That's a good
I
question.
guess you'll have to leave a comment, Jordan. Tell us what
Ooh,
you're
yeah,
thinking.
Jordan.
Give it some thought.
I'll have to leave one. I'll have to think on that. Yeah.
All
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Hell
And
yeah.
we'll see you in a
Thanks
couple
for
weeks
having
here.
me.
Yep.
Animated
See you
out.
soon, boys. Thanks for rolling by.
Bye.